I was placed in this hospital room for high blood pressure complications. I did everything my doctors told me to do, including taking the prescribed medications, which I've been on for years, but I still ended up here. When I got out, I learned about my olive leaf, an all-natural extract that got my hypertension under control. Don't continue to drug yourself into becoming healthier. Go to myoliveleaf.biz to learn more.
AdamandEve.com. I'm talking toys, bondage, lingerie, and so much more. Plus, they have 24/7 customer service, so you can order at 3 a.m. if you ain't coming, if you get me, okay? And if something isn't working out, you can send it back within 90 days, no hassle. And if that's not enough, you can also take pleasure in knowing that 20% of their profits goes to help fight the spread of HIV around the world. So go on ahead and log on to AdamandEve.com. Use the code TASHAK for 50% off one item plus free shipping in the US and Canada. Some exclusions apply now, but hurry up and visit AdamandEve.com so they can make you come. Embrace Pangea's Pristine Vaginal Inserts. That's right. Pristine is an overnight vaginal solution that works in just 12 hours. Pristine will balance your pH and get rid of all that odor and itch. All you're going to do is take one capsule. You're going to insert it south, not north, but south inside, and wait for that bad boy to dissolve. Over 830 women have used Embrace Pangea's Pristine Vaginal Inserts and have had great things to say. Now get Pristine at lovepristine.com. And be sure to check out a lot of the reviews at lovepristine.com. Bell's Secret. Following a routine paired with Bell's Secret all-natural and hydrating, plant-based brightening facial wash and moisturizer, acne eraser kits, black soaps, detox masks, and much, much more, you can rid yourself of dark spots, acne, and dry skin using Bell's Secret Gold Skin Collection. Your skin is the first part of your body everyone sees, and hydration is essential to keeping your skin healthy and slows down aging. Shop bellsecret.org for all of your plant-based skincare products now using the link below. What in the fuck is a carbonation? Who want to answer?
Before there was a white man here, we existed.
People calling y'all a cult. They're calling y'all brainwashed. They're calling y'all weak. They're calling you crazy, delusional. You're being held against your will. You're not eating. You're malnourished. Rumors of HIV and STDs. What in the fuck is a carbonation?
Caesar has returned.
Women are electrons, we're movements. We're going to move through what his mind tells us to do. We're going to do that, and we're going to collectively know, like, okay, check.
You can become the master of your reality.
And how do you get people to follow you immediately? Master teacher. Never heard a black guy refer to himself as master teacher. And I'm thinking to myself, what warrants you to carry that title?
He was ordering you to slap the girls.
Bitch gonna take your place. You looking weak.
I went up against Oya. I'm Oshun. I went up against Oya, and I fought, and I won that battle.
So you would date a transgender?
Yeah. As long as they look like the female, not the man, not the cheap ones. You know the cheap ones? You know the cheap ones.
What's shaking up in you?
Till we get on, okay? I was trying, I'm a little unbalanced there. Hold on for a second. Y'all better be in the motherfucking wine glass. Ooh, that felt good. Hey, how y'all doing? Ooh, I missed y'all. Now, them some heavy wine glasses. Y'all, listen, y'all know the winos is just as treacherous as the beehive, okay? Y'all better represent. Hey, it's been a minute. I know. Listen, if y'all have missed me, y'all know y'all can find me over there on TashaKLive.com, all right? YouTube got a lot of strict things going over here, and I wasn't the type of woman to take strictness and discipline well. Okay? Give me a second for a second. Can you handle that out there, please? What is that? Okay. All right, so listen. They said am I high? No, I'm just feeling good. I'll let you know if I was buzzed, okay? Trust me. I'm going to get buzzed, but not now, okay? I got out the shower and headed right over here on my hair all curly and everything. Hey, guys. So, I know it's been a minute. I have missed y'all so much, all right? I wish we could do this, heavy on the app. I mean, it's a pretty heavy turnout, but it could be heavier, of course. You know what I'm saying? And it's all uncensored. We all grown folk over there. You know what I'm saying? On TashaKLive.com. Now, I want to first point out, of course, we are covering the Jessica Reid, Charlamange rape. Okay? That's a word that I'm not even supposed to use on YouTube, okay? But tonight, it's fair game. I want to start out by saying this because I know there's a lot of different comments, a lot of different feelings and things like that. You haven't heard this story tonight. And there are hundreds, if not thousands, of people in this chat that will tell you that watch the pre-screening on TashaKLive.com that this story that you're hearing tonight, you have not heard this story anywhere ever on the internet, okay? Now, you've gotten pieces. You've gotten propaganda by people who had ill agendas to use Jessica Reid as a weapon, but you have not got the entire story. You haven't even gotten a piece of the story, okay? And the winos that watch this on TashaKLive.com 4 days ago can damn sure tell you that, okay? So anybody that's saying, oh, I've seen this story, no, the fuck you haven't. I've heard, you probably heard about it, but you don't know everything that's going down, all right? And there's a reason why, all right? He has a legal team on standby because everything upon everything is in this interview tonight, okay? We are not playing no games. Now, I just had to get that out there, all right? So, this is a story about Jessica. Charlamagne happens to be a part of that story. However, 80% of what you're going to hear tonight is about Jessica Reid. And I want to first apologize to her for the creators that have used her as a weapon to get back at certain people and didn't allow her to do what she intentionally came to do, which was finally stand up for herself and demand justice. Now, I'm looking. Oh, y'all see the throw. I'm approved for my surgery now. I'm approved for my surgery. For those of y'all that's always comment on my thyroid, yes, I'm approved for my surgery. I don't see the likes going up here. Y'all don't want, listen, I will not play this interview, and I'm going to take me and my showery red eyes, okay? And I will play these commercials over if I don't see these likes going up, okay? Because y'all can do a lot better than this. I know y'all mad at me because I ain't been live over here. You know what I'm saying? But I will gladly play these advertisers because they need this airspace. This is what they pay for over here. If y'all don't get them damn likes up. Okay, they're going up pretty fast. Let's go. Let's go. All right. So, listen, we are all grown folk over here. I don't have to say or need to say viewer discretion is advised. This is a very triggering special, and I call it special because it's 3 hours and 15 minutes. We didn't cut anything out. Okay? Everything that started when we got there to the end is in this special. And the reason I'm calling it a special, because this is a special moment for her, okay? She thought she wouldn't ever be able to tell her entire story without, other people trying to tell it for her. And so once you watch this in a few minutes, and I hope that you got your ringer off and everything because you're not going to want to miss anything. I would just say, listen, guard your emotions as much as you can because if you are human, like we all are, you will feel something. Okay, whether it's positive, whether it's negative, whether you're empathetic, whether you're sympathetic, okay? You are going to feel every word, every emotion, every gesture during this special with Jessica Reid, okay? And without further ado, like I said, this is 3 hours and 15 minutes. We will not be cutting. We will not be rewinding back, okay? If you miss something, you're going to have to pick up where it is or hold your time mark, okay? And then come back and watch it. And there's a reason why we didn't cut it. It's because you have to see everything. Because everything has been chopped, screwed. There's a story over here. There's a story over there. Y'all got assumptions about this. Y'all got opinions about this. And y'all have seen this, but you haven't seen this part. All of that ends today, okay? And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce the Jessica Reid.
First, you know the situation that happened with the private investigator.
No, so that's what I want to say. Because we're going to go through all of that.
Okay, because he held back for like maybe 6 months. He would not release it because of that situation.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that.
And then out the blue, he was like, well, I'll release it. It's like, okay.
We have 3 hours and 45 minutes of recording time.
Oh, that's perfect. All right, so, you ready?
I'm ready.
I mean, I know it's hard for me to even ask someone if they're ready to discuss something just that you can never, ever forget or erase from your mind.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And before I properly introduce you, of course, I'm going to, you are Jessica Reid. I want to read something. It's going to take me some time to read it, but I want to read a warrant.
Okay.
Okay. That was provided by the state of South Carolina, Berkeley County. Before we start this, because I really want to establish the facts in the beginning.
Okay.
So there's no speculation as we're unraveling everything.
Okay.
Okay. And so I'm going to start off by saying this. All right. So I have a warrant here, pretty much an affidavit that was signed on, it looks like sworn and subscribed before the issuing judge, I believe is E.S. Hayes or something, on June 15th, 2001. Okay. And so it starts out with personally appeared before me, a magistrate of this county, affidavit, Detective Guinea Fowler, who first being duly sworn deposes and states that defendant Leonard Larry McKelvey did within this county and state on or around or between June 8th, 2001 and June 9th, 2001 did violate the criminal laws of the state of South Carolina in the following particulars to wit. Now this document is a little blurry, so I'm kind of trying to make sure I say every word as it is. So there's no, I'm adding my own words. So description of offense, It looks like code S or 816-3655, criminal sexual conduct with a minor in second degree. That or on between June 8, 2001 and June 9, 2001 at Short Stay Villa, Moncks Corner, South Carolina, located within the county and state aforesaid. The defendant, Leonard Larry McKelvey, did commit the offense of criminal sexual conduct with the minor to the second degree in violation of 816-3-655 of the South Carolina Code of Laws 1976 as amended, in that the defendant, who is a 22-year-old adult male, did willingly, unlawfully, and feloniously, I hope I said that right, engage in penile vaginal intercourse with a 15-year-old female child. Facts to establish and aforesaid: number one, on the morning of 6/9/2001, the Berkeley County Sheriff's Office was contacted by Joycelyn Reid, the mother of a minor victim, after she received a phone call advising her of a sexual assault that had occurred with the 15-year-old daughter. The minor female was transported by EMS. Make sure I got this line right. Number three, affiant responded to the Somerville Medical Center and obtained a verbal and or written statement from the minor child, which is you, which implicated that the defendant in the sexual assault. Number four, examinations conducted by Somerville Medical Center corroborated that a sexual assault had occurred. Number five, the affiant, through investigation, was able to locate the incident location and confirm that this incident occurred in Berkeley County. All against the peace and dignity of the state detective, Guinea Fowler. His address is here, and this was sworn and subscribed before an issuing judge on June 15th, 2001. So there's the warrant number is actually G-773948. The case number is 2001, which is still public record to this day. -06019-155. And this still sits in the county of Berkeley, Moncks Corner, South Carolina.
Yeah.
You're tearing up.
It's just, it's hard to hear it. It's like I'm healing, you know, and I'm doing really well. And I'm definitely in a better place than I was before. But I don't know, it's just, it brought out so much emotions just hearing you say it. And I don't know.
I didn't want to make you cry so soon in the interview because we're just getting started.
Yeah.
This has been a long time coming. You don't know how long I've wanted to talk to you personally and tell the correct story.
Right.
There's been so many depictions, so many people, so many different statements. Everyone is talking. Everyone is controlling a narrative. And I'm watching you since you first came out in 2017 on the Star Report's channel.
Right.
And when he first introduced this. And I did want to point out that the only reason that video was taken down was because Charlamange Tha God, okay, who is Leonard McKelvey, social security number was accidentally exposed in that video.
Right.
That was it. And we cannot, under no circumstances, put out, private information like that. And so your story, unfortunately, that's when a chain of events started and things started to get lost. And so as you're just coming out to tell everyone, like, this man that we see on or hear on the radio every day, that we see on the internet, that we see on our TV screens, that we see on the red carpets, this is not who he really is. This is not who you know or knew.
Yeah.
Y'all are from the same county, same town. The difference is you were a child and he was an adult male.
Right.
Not 18, not 19, not 20, not 21, but 22 years old. Pursuing a 15-year-old child. And according to this warrant, signed by a judge, sworn by a judge, and signed by the detective, and it's clear by the Somerville Medical Center that you were sexually assaulted the night you were with him. Yeah. And he was the only one that was charged with anything, because he is the person that came to your home and got you, but you left by EMS.
Yeah.
Before we get into, because I don't want you crying so soon, because I don't definitely, because you I don't see you as a victim. I see you as a survivor. Mm-hmm. Okay. Just beautiful inside and out.
Thank you.
Beautiful children. You have a career. Mm-hmm. You're living life. So this is not you chasing clout. You're not a cloud chaser. You don't have yes, you have social media. What's going on? Okay, sorry about that. I definitely don't want to interrupt the sound here, so that's the sound tech. So, but I want people to get to know you. I said when I do get a chance to finally sit down with Mrs. Reid, Jessica Reid, everything that's been going on since 2017, when you came out and finally told your truth to the world, hoping just to get some justice and saying that this person should not have the platform that he has simply because of what he did to me. Mm-hmm. Right? This is no different than Bill Cosby.
Right.
Harvey Weinstein. Jeffrey Epstein. I wanted people to get to know Jessica, and I wanted us to go through every single hurdle that brought you to this chair today.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because I want people to see the survivor that you are.
Okay.
Not just the victim, even though you were re-victimized over and over again for people's personal gain. Okay, and so welcome to the Wine Cellar.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Anytime. I'm so sorry that was such a dramatic intro, but I just had to establish the facts. Yeah. So no one's gonna say, "Oh, well, there's an allegation that's not true." No. These are facts.
The paperwork is everywhere.
The paperwork.
It's all over the internet.
So just in case, because a lot of our viewers don't like to read the paperwork.
Yeah.
So we're gonna just make sure that they hear it.
Okay.
So, Jessica, are you originally from Moncks Corner, South Carolina?
No, actually, I've never lived in Moncks Corner. I lived in Somerville, South Carolina, and Charleston.
Okay.
But I'm from Brooklyn, New York.
Oh, yeah. That's where I hear the New York accent from.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird because I have that New York accent, but when I say certain things, you can hear the Southern in me too.
Okay, so
kind of mixed up. But yeah, I was born in Brooklyn. My father's side of the family is from Brooklyn, New York.
Okay.
And I just remember growing up, and that dynamic was just like really wholesome and loving. You know what I mean? My father had a really, really big family. So I had a whole bunch of aunts, uncles, cousins. You know, we would always have family get-togethers, Christmas, Thanksgiving, you name it, birthday parties. It was always a good time when we got together. And it's a dynamic that I really appreciate, especially because the dynamic in my family now is not like that. Now, we've definitely gotten better, but that type of dynamic is something that I strive for between, you know, my family, my mom, my uncles, and my brothers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even though you had a big family, you, it sounds like it was a pretty normal childhood.
Yeah, it was. I had a really, really good childhood growing up. I can't say that there was anything negative when it came to the family side of things.
Okay.
Now, when I was younger, I want to say maybe about 5, I did experience, you know, some events with my god brother.
Okay.
And it's really hard to talk about, and a lot of people don't know about this, but I was molested by my god brother.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, when I was about maybe 5. And it's crazy the things that I remember being so young, you know what I mean? But I can remember very vividly just that experience and the things that he would do, or the things that he would say, or the things that he would try to get me to do.
Like what? Like what would he do?
So, oh God, it's just so hard to go back to that place. It was just a lot of inappropriate touching.
Okay.
And getting me to touch him inappropriately, and telling me that if I didn't do these things, I would get in trouble. Like I had to do these things. Because there were definitely times where I was like, well, I don't want to do that, you know, and he would say, well, you have to. And I was only 5, you know, and he had to be in his teens.
Okay.
He was a lot older than I was. And, you know, I looked to him as an adult, an authority figure. So if he's telling me to do something, even if it made me feel uncomfortable, I still went ahead and did that.
And you're 5 years old. You don't know. So
you don't know.
So how did that, I mean, is this your first time really talking about it? I mean, does your mom know? Did your dad find out? Like,
well,
what was done about that?
My mom, I didn't tell her until, I think I was about 8. And this was after we moved from Brooklyn because my father passed away, and I'll get into that as well. But we left Brooklyn when I was about 8, and I remember sitting down with my mom and my brother, and we were watching America's Most Wanted, I think it was. And I remember seeing a reenactment of a little girl being molested by her dad. And I was like, wow, like that's the same thing that happened to me. And I didn't know up until that point that it was wrong, until I actually saw that on TV. And I was like, okay, I gotta tell my mom about this. So I ran to my room and I grabbed a piece of paper and pencil, and I wrote down to her, I said, you know, so-and-so did the same thing to me. And so I ran back in the living room, gave it to her. Then I ran back in my room because, you know, I didn't know what she was gonna say. And she came in the room and she just had tears, you know, just flowing down her face. And I could tell that she was really, really hurt. And me at that point, I didn't know what to feel. I didn't really have any emotions. I was just watching her, you know, cry. And, you know, she told me, she said, I'm so sorry that happened to you. And we kind of shared a moment, but after that, nothing happened. Like, there were no police call, no police report. I don't even know if she reached out to my god brother's mom. I don't think nothing happened. Nothing happened.
Now, when you say god brother, was this like a friend of hers, and it was kind of like, oh, I'm going to make you the godmother to my daughter, And then, so she trusted the son maybe being alone with you, or just being in the house with you, maybe watching while, I mean, I guess they went out or they were friends and stuff like that. So you weren't just like left just with anybody. This was...
No.
Okay.
They were really close.
Okay.
She actually lived down the hall, lived down the hall from us.
Okay.
Maybe a few doors down. And they had a really good relationship. And so she decided to make her my godmother. And I spent a lot of time with her. Like almost every day she was watching me. And her son would always come around, you know, and he built a relationship with me. Like I said, I looked at him as, you know, like a brother. He would always let me play with his G.I. Joes because I loved playing with G.I. Joes because my brothers, they had G.I. Joes. And, you know, so I had a relationship with them. I trusted them. My mom trusted them. And, you know, we had no reason not to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember his name?
His name is Petey.
Petey? Mm-hmm. Okay. Have you, because I remember, like, you know, unfortunately, like, that happened to me, too. Like, my grandmother was married to a man who, you know, I consider my grandfather, but he had a son. And his son was 17, and while they would go to work, he would watch me, and he was supposed to take me over to my other grandmother's house. And then, of course, you know, when he had alone time with me, hell, he would do it when they was in the house. I would go in his room, and he would make me play with him and stuff like that. Like, he was bold with it, you know. And so I remember finding his profile. Something just told me to type in, you know, Allen, you know, black man. And I found him, and you know, you never forget a face.
Yeah.
And I blasted that son of a bitch all over social media. I said, you know what? I can't get you charged now, but I can tell all of Texas, since that's where you stay, because you aren't a registered sex offender, that they are living with a sex offender. So, and that, to me, that was therapeutic. You know, that I was able to finally have that moment. Were you able to have that moment with Petey?
Never. I never received any therapy. You know, once I told my mom what happened. I want to say maybe when I was 15, like right after the assault, I went to New York to spend the summer with my uncle. And my mother thought it was a good idea to have me go see my godmother. And
wait a...
Yeah, to this day, I still don't understand. And I kept expressing to her that I did not want to go to her house just because of the memories. And then what if he's there? And, you know, she called me and she was like, well, your godmother really wants to see you, whatever. And I was like, okay. So me and my younger brother went. And I remember knocking on the door, and I was just like shaking because I was like, well, I don't know, you know, what to expect when she opens the door. Is he going to be there, you know? And so she opened the door, and she embraced me and gave me a big hug. And she invited me and my brother into her place. And we were sitting there on the sofa, and on the walls was all of his pictures on the walls. And
Jessica, what the you know, I was going to get into this later, you know, because me and your mom used to email me and threaten to sue me and stuff like that, because when you had first came out with your story, I'm like, how does a 15-year-old get along with, we're two mothers here. You got a daughter?
I have two.
See? Yeah. Okay, I got a daughter. My 15-year-old is at the house. Ain't no men around. She ain't going alone with no grown men.
I feel that.
You know?
Yeah.
And you told your mom that, and this is not to bash your mom, but I feel like, and there's no but, I feel like them mothers ignoring the trauma and sweeping it under the rug and telling you to toughen up. You mean to tell me, after I read this affidavit, that you were determined by the state of South Carolina that you were indeed raped, and Charlamange Tha God was the only suspect?
Yeah.
when you left and you couldn't, she did not allow you to cooperate. See, I was going to wait to get into this, but I just can't no more because I'm like, when you think the story don't get no worse, it gets worse. Mm-hmm. You got to cooperate. She sends you to the house where you were molested as a 5-year-old girl, and you told her you didn't want to go. Mm-hmm. So not only are you traumatized from what just happened to you at this gathering that you went to with Charlamange, because he picked you up, took you, gave you the drink. She tells you, come on home, baby, it's fine. You know, you gonna pack your bags, you gonna go stay with your godmama.
Oh, no, I was visiting my uncle. Oh,
your uncle. Yeah. Okay.
And she wanted me to go visit my godmother
while you was there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And she tells you, now how much time was it between when this happened?
It was right after. I want to say maybe a few weeks, because it was summertime. So I want to say maybe 2 to 3 weeks. I guess she felt like it would be good for me to get away. And so she suggested that I go and stay with my uncle for the summer, me and my little brother. And, you know, while I was there, she thought it was a good idea that I connect with my godmother.
So you leave one traumatic situation and you're thinking you're going to a place of just a place where you can just kind of clear your mind. Were you under the impression that your mom was probably handling this while you were away?
I was always under the impression that she was handling things until so much time had passed by and I hadn't heard anything and she hadn't been like keeping me abreast of what was going on. And then I finally started asking her, you know, when am I going to go and testify? And then she was coming
against Charlamange.
Yeah. When am I going to, because I think we jumping the gun.
No. I just wanted to establish. No, we're not jumping the gun.
Okay.
Because we're gonna come back to. But I mean, if you open up the door, I gotta walk through that door because I don't want us to forget this detail. So trust me, I ain't forgot where we left off at. No.
Okay.
I'm just trying to establish. Like, so you're leaving to go because this is all gonna come full circle.
Yeah.
After the night you were sexually assaulted, date raped, okay? And I wouldn't even call it a date rape. You were 15 years old. It wasn't a date.
It's not a date.
It was not a date.
We were not in a relationship. It was not a date.
Exactly. And so your mom says, go stay with your uncle. You go stay with your uncle. You're under the impression she is handling things with the police.
Yeah.
On your behalf, because she is the mother and you're a minor. Yeah. And she tells you, oh, by the way, go stop by your godmother's house and tell her I said what's up, or, you know, and just go spend some time. That'll be good for you. And you get into the house and all these pictures of her son are all over the wall after he violated you as well. And you're still 15 years old at the time.
I'm still 15. It just happened. 3 weeks prior, it just happened.
And to your knowledge, do you feel that you and your mom, not now, because I'm sure that we will talk about the complications of your relationship, the nature of the logistics of the relationship between you and your mom. Because we're not here to drag your mom. We're just here to hold Black mothers accountable. We have to, as Black mothers, do better.
Right.
If it starts in the home and the mothers don't hear our daughters and hear you, no one else is going to hear us or listen or move.
And then, too, you're going to walk around feeling insecure and inadequate as a child. And you're going to carry that with you into adulthood.
Because you're not being protected or valued. Mm-hmm. And your father is deceased. Yeah. Your mom is mom and dad. And she couldn't show you value. Now, I don't want you speaking for her. I think these are questions that she has to answer herself. Mm-hmm. Because I do believe that you are owed some answers personally, if she hasn't, and publicly. Mm-hmm. Okay. I apologize that happened to you. I am so sorry that happened to you, that you were not protected. But you are protected in this space now.
Thank you.
This is so much. Okay. Wow. Let me get you some wine. Let me try to, because I know that this is a lie. Go ahead and taste this up. Make sure it's good.
Thank you.
I don't want you drinking no bad bottle. Oh my gosh. It's good?
Yeah.
Ready to go? Okay.
Yeah.
I should have poured this before I read the warning again, and you teared up, So that's okay. Here you go.
Thank you.
All right, let me get mine. And then let me pour over here.
Laying on the table.
Okay, gotcha. Sorry about that. All right. There you go. Okay, so we are. Clean this up. So we're back to you telling your mom that you were violated by your godmother's, who's not even a relative. This is not her sister, son. Nothing was obviously done. So this is strike one. Okay. Charlamagne is definitely strike two. Please don't tell me there's a strike two in between strike one and strike two. Okay. So you're 8 years old. You tell your mom, she's crying. Nothing happened. Okay. Where are you guys living during this time? Like, I know that this happened probably up north, correct? Okay. So when did you move to South Carolina?
So we moved to South Carolina maybe about a year and a half or so after my dad passed away.
Okay. And this was how long after you had been? How many years after? Okay, so you're 8 years old. You tell your mom after you saw the true crime story, and she cries, and she didn't say anything to you. She didn't comfort you. Did she comfort you?
I mean, she, she said that she was sorry that happened to me, but not the way that you would think a mom would comfort their child after hearing about something like that.
What do you mean? Like, do you?
I don't know. I mean, I know if it was my child, I probably would have just held her,
Yeah.
I would have held her. I would have, just told her how sorry I was and how, what happened to her wasn't her fault. I think I just would have been there for her more. You know what I mean? I definitely would have probably placed her in some type of therapy. I definitely would have pursued some type of charges. I would have contacted the police for sure. I might have drove back to Brooklyn myself and popped off.
Cause it's only like a 3 year difference. So it wasn't like a lot of time had
a lot
lapsed.
of time had not passed by. Like it was just maybe a couple years, maybe.
Okay.
If even that.
How was school for you?
In South Carolina, or
we're gonna hold on getting to South Carolina, because I just want to ask, like, you're going through all of this. For me, school was absolutely just terrible, because I didn't receive any therapy, and so we act out. Did you ever have any problems in school?
I started having problems in school when I got to middle school. In elementary, I was actually really good. I was on an honor roll, perfect attendance. I was a really good student in elementary. But middle school, that's where things started to shift for me. Just because I was growing and I felt like, I just felt like I did not have the support that I needed. I felt like I didn't have anyone to talk to. My mother, first of all, before we get to middle school, let's talk about elementary school. Okay. Because when I told my mom what happened, that was actually in South Carolina. That was after we moved from Brooklyn to South Carolina after my father passed away.
Okay.
Yeah. So during that time, I will say that my mom was very active as a parent. She definitely was, active with us with school. She was helping us with school every day. She was always cooking. She would take us out. We would go out to eat out maybe once a week. Like, we had a really, really good relationship when I was younger. I can't say that I lacked really anything when I was, younger, aside from that moment that, when I expressed to her what happened. Other than that, I can't say that I really lacked too much from her when I was a little girl. It didn't start until middle school.
Okay.
Like, when I started to feel like I really needed her, and I started to try to confide in her about certain things, especially my dad's death, because that really bothered me, and it left like a huge void, and I just always felt like something was missing. And so, yeah, when I was in middle school and just growing up, and you know how you're a female, you're going through all these changes, and then, boys start coming around. It was just, a lot was going on with me. And then I kind of struggled with, like, whether I liked girls. And I remember she found out, and instead of talking to me about it, I remember her just walking in my room and giving me the Bible. And there was a scripture that she circled that she wanted me to read. And then that was it. So there was not a lot of communication. There was not a lot of support. There was never, where she would tell me that she loved me, that she thought I was beautiful. Like, all of these things that you need as a kid, and, especially as a girl growing up. I just did not have that. So that, on top of not having my father around, on top of what happened to me when I was a little girl, that kind of caused me to, act out in school.
Okay. Now, when you were acting out, what were you doing? Fighting?
I was doing everything. I was fighting. I wasn't going to school.
Okay.
I definitely wasn't worried about my grades. Ended up getting left back in 6th grade. I was just, I guess, rebellious and not really listening. But at the same time, there weren't really any rules that were laid out for me. You know what I mean?
So you didn't have rules in your house?
I mean...
Did you have a curfew?
I don't remember if I had a curfew. And if I did, it just didn't matter, because I knew that if I stayed out, nothing was going to happen.
Nothing?
Nothing was going to happen.
So how late would you stay out in middle school? Like 6th grade, 7th grade?
Not so much middle school, but like now we're talking more so in like maybe high school.
Okay.
8th grade on up into like the summer of my high school year.
Okay.
That's when I started staying out late and, just going to my friend's house and hanging out with them. I don't know. All of us were kind of like just, misguided. Like, we were all like, it was the blind leading the blind. Like, we were just figuring life out together.
You and your girlfriends?
Me and my girlfriends. And
okay.
There was no direction. Like, we didn't know, I don't know, because most of my girlfriends, like, they didn't have fathers either. Their mom was single.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And they ran a household themselves. And so we were just kind of like, I don't know, just trying to figure life out and just experimenting and doing different things and getting into trouble. And then, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now, were you were your grades decent, or were you still being held back even when you got to high school?
Now, when I got to high school, I kind of decided that I wanted to switch things up. And I told myself, I said, okay, Jessica, you going to high school. You might want to start doing things differently. And then I started getting serious about school. Okay. And then I wanted to be a pediatrician. Oh. And so I reached out to, I think it was MUSC, if I'm not mistaken, downtown Charleston, to do volunteer work. And like, things just kind of switched for me. I don't know why, but I told myself, the road that I was going down was not what I wanted to continue doing. I just wanted something different for myself. You know what I mean? Even being so young, I was still able to say to myself, you know what? You got to make some changes.
Okay.
And so my 9th grade year, I kind of just started to, I started to behave differently. And then I started telling my mom where I was going. So it wasn't like, oh, I'm just leaving and I come back when I come back. It was more so, Mom, I'm going here, or is this okay? And then I started working. I was very independent. You know what I mean? I had my first job at, I think, 14.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was buying my clothes for school, getting my hair done, and I love doing stuff like that. And so it just changed for me, and I was just more focused than I was when, I was in middle school leading up to my 9th grade year.
Man, no intervention, and you turned around.
Yeah.
That's pretty dope. Most kids shit beat out of them. Like,
I don't know what it was. I saw something. I saw a life for myself, even at that young age.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is what I want to do, so I'm going to stick to this. I wanted to buy a car. I remember back then I wanted the Jetta.
Okay.
The 4-door Jetta.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to get me a Jetta. And I was like so excited. And so, I was like, let me just focus and do what I got to do. So, I just switched it up.
Okay. That is such a good, well, I gotta say, I'm impressed.
Thank you.
Yeah, especially that you even thought, like, let me set a goal.
Yeah.
Let me become, like, I want to be a pediatrician, so I'm going to call the hospital, see if I can volunteer. Yeah. What can I do? Because most kids don't have that. And even though you didn't have that structure, I mean, did your mom, she never talk to you about things like this, about goals or what you wanted to be when you got older? Did you guys have those talks? Like, did she encourage you to be like, let's start thinking about college? And
no, I did that for myself. And when it came to college, I wanted to go to Spelman. Like, that was me.
Okay,
that's something.
All
I
right,
decided
shout out to
for.
Spelman.
Yeah, right. That's something I decided for myself. We didn't have those conversations. She worked a lot. Now, when I was younger, she was a stay-at-home mom, when I was in elementary school. But, things changed. And when I was in middle school, she had to go back to work. And so
what kind of work did she do?
I know for a long time, she was a counselor at an orphanage.
Wait, what? Jessica, you fucking with me right now.
She worked at Jenkins Orphanage.
Are you fucking with me?
She worked at Jenkins Orphanage in Charleston. For a long time, and she was working I think 12-hour shifts, and that's kind of like when I just had all of that free time, you know what I mean? And I was just
so she counseling orphans with no mothers and fathers and family, but she can't counsel the very kids in her home.
Yeah, I don't know.
Did your siblings say the same thing? Like, did y'all get together and have a powwow and be like,
no,
did
not even.
Mom talk to you?
No,
because I'm kind of feeling some type of way right now. Like,
my younger brother didn't have any issues. He was really young. I want to say maybe like 10.
So who took care of him while you was out at the friend house and she was working?
Playing video games.
Okay. Yeah, so he watched himself.
Yeah.
Made him some oodles and noodles and macaroni and cheese. He ain't going nowhere. Yeah.
He was in there playing video games. That was his thing. That and basketball. He loved basketball. My older brother, he was same as me, just out doing whatever. I have had conversations with my mom recently about everything that happened when I was a kid. And I'm not making excuses for her, not by any means. But, I feel like she was just doing the best that she could, especially with working so much and having to provide for us, being the sole provider of the household. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like I kind of took advantage of that. Even though I was acting out because I needed her, it's like at the same time she was doing what she had to do. But me being 13, 14, I didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't thinking that. I was like, well, Mom's never around. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't thinking, well, if she doesn't work, who's going to pay the bills? I wasn't thinking, you know, and my mom had her own trauma that she never ever really worked through. You know, she also was abused when she was younger by her dad. And and then losing my father, I think that was really tough on her because my dad, you know, he passed away from AIDS.
What?
And he passed away
sorry.
From AIDS. And, you know, there was a time where she was taking care of him. And I know that was difficult for her. So she's dealing with a lot, you know, and as a result of her not knowing how to, to heal properly and how to process those emotions and not having any therapy herself, you know, she kind of just ended up falling back. And,
now the story is coming together.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a cycle because her mother, my grandmother, was also, you know, abused. And she watched, you know, my grandmother be abused by her dad, or her stepdad, which also abused her. You know what I mean? So it's like a cycle of abuse, like from generation to generation. And when things started happening to me and she became aware of it, I just don't think she knew how to handle it.
Or maybe because she had gone through it, and she, in her mind, told herself that she was okay.
Yeah.
She probably told herself that you would be okay. Because this is, I mean, I hear it like my mom says it to me. Well, I was molested too. Like, true shit. Ice cream.
Everybody handles things differently.
Yes, you know?
Yeah.
We're coming up in different eras. You know, there was this old guy, Mr. Jack. He's about like 7. Mr. Jack, Miss Mildred. They sold ice cream at the end of the street. He sold them for 25 cents. But when you went down there to get an ice cream cone, I'm a kid. I liked his ice cream cones. You know, I would take a quarter. And in order to get the ice cream cone, he had to fill on a titty. Now, I'm 6, 7 years old.
What?
Yeah, and Mr. Jack did the same shit to my mama. So to her, it was like, oh, that's just Mr. Jack. But I'm like, Mom, like, it's kind of creepy. But, you know, because she had been abused, like my mom, she won't share everything that she's gone through. But, you know, here I am struggling, just like you're struggling. And we're like, what the fuck are we supposed to do with this shit?
Yeah. Yeah, it was different for me. Like, I think with her, like, she was able to just, if she was going through anything when I was a kid, she hid it very well because I didn't know. But for me, I was a mess with everything that I was dealing with.
Yeah.
I couldn't control my emotions. I couldn't hide it. There was a point after everything happened, maybe a couple of years, where I kind of like repressed everything, you know, and I was able to just live my life just like, you know, a normal teenager. But I'm telling you, when I was around like maybe 18, it just all came, like the emotions, just everything, it just all came crashing down. And I could not. I couldn't carry it anymore. So it was just too much.
I do now, like, even though I'm so angry, you know, you just wish you can turn back the hands of times. Now we see the full circle. And now I understand why Mom was giving me hell.
Yeah.
Because now, you know, I'm a reporter and I'm asking questions like, how does a 15-year-old get permission to go with a 22-year-old? And there were other men that were older too. It wasn't just him that came to the house and got you. And I'm like, how does this happen? Yeah. Now we understand. And so there's full context now. Mm-hmm. And you know, when we were getting the details back in 2017, we weren't getting everything. And so now I understand why your mama had smoke for me in the emails. So I get it.
My mom got smoked for
I'm
me.
sorry, Mama.
She about that life.
I'm sorry, Mom. I totally empathize with you. Yeah. I really do. And I apologize if I've said anything that triggered you even more. Because when you do have the full story, because me, I'm just like, how does that happen? And I questioned it.
You had to know it was more to it than, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's why I was just like, tell me something. Tell me it can't be this simple.
Yeah.
But now I understand, and it makes sense. And she was traumatized herself and trying to hold it together for y'all.
Yeah.
And I think by allowing y'all to just be y'all without putting a lot of pressure on y'all, that to her probably was me letting my kids just be free. They lost their dad. I'm working. They're going, you know, this is what they need. So I get it now. I get it. And you didn't have to share that. And so
no, I felt it was necessary.
Yeah.
You know, because it's a part of my story as well, because I feel like if she was in a different place, you know, mentally and emotionally, a lot of things wouldn't have happened to me.
And back then, we're talking about 2001, and I'm sure your dad died how many years prior to 2001 to that night?
I think he passed away in, I think it was 90, 91.
That was when AIDS was like ravaging the community.
Yeah.
And
it was tough. It was tough because back then it was like, okay, if you have HIV, then that's it. Like you're gonna die. You know what I mean? That's what it was. And she was so afraid because she thought that we could have possibly had it. And then she was pregnant with my baby brother at the time when my dad found out that he had HIV, and he contracted it from heroin. He was a heroin addict.
Oh my gosh.
And so, yeah, so she was just going through it and then constantly getting tested. And I remember she told me that she was getting everyone tested for like up to 10 years after she found out that he had it, because, you know, it can lie dormant in your system.
I just had a guest on my show, 10 years.
Yeah.
No signs. AIDS pops up.
Yeah. So she was terrified. And thinking that, you know, later on down the line, we would get that diagnosis too.
Wow.
And yeah, it was tough. And it was tough for me too, because when it comes to
Mom is
my
still
dad,
alive. So for anyone asking, Mom is healthy.
Everyone's healthy.
Mama's good.
She's alive and well.
Yeah.
But when it comes to my dad and just the type of person that I remember him being prior to him being sick, he was just always like upbeat, very happy, very handsome guy. He was always, you know, dressed to impress.
Okay.
He was also a boxer.
Oh.
You know, and I ended up getting into boxing when I was like 16, not even knowing that he was a boxer.
Oh.
Yeah, until after the fact. So we have that connection. But the memories I have of him prior to him being sick is just like, you know, just a really, really great dad. And he would take me to the corner store all the time and buy me string cheese, because I loved string cheese back then, and take us to Coney Island and, you know, just do all these things with us. But then I also have the memories of him when he was sick, and I have more of those than I do of the good ones. And so I remember him just like throwing up a lot and, you know, coughing and just being in the bed a lot, you know what I mean? And just not being available like he was before. But the most vivid memory that stands out the most was the funeral.
Oh.
And I remember like everything about that day. And I remember like sitting in the front row, you know, and I referred to it as the box back then, but, you know, of course I know now it's a coffin, and his body was just laying there, and like not realizing that like I would never see him again. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my gosh. Jessica. Wow. Shay, I need more tissue, like paper towels. Okay. Here we go. Oh my gosh. Jessica, I was not. I don't know. We'll take a break, okay?
Okay.
All right, we're gonna get you some tissue. You want to walk out? You want to get some air?
Yeah, I need some air.
Okay. All right. Damn. I did not know. I had no idea. I have, like, this is the first time I'm hearing any of this information. All that we had on the internet was the rape that happened that night. I did not know. I think she went out to get some air to take a break for a second. So let me tell you what happened. So we were talking about her father, and I was trying to get an understanding as to, because she said that when she was 5 years old, she was molested, and then she told her mom and nothing happened. And then of course the night with Charlamange Tha God, and she said, but now that she had a talk with her mom, she now understands why her mom wasn't emotionally available for her, because her father had died years prior, and she remembers her father very well, vividly. He was a happy guy, he was a heroin addict, but he died from AIDS. And she said she remembered very vividly the funeral, and she said she just lost it. I was not ready. She's a child, she was traumatized, and she said she remembered her dad throwing up, and this was right around the time when, AIDS was really ravaging communities. They was getting it through intravenous drugs or, sex and things like that. And so she said, her dad was just always this happy-go-lucky guy, but unfortunately, he was a drug user, and her mom was pregnant with her brother when they found out that dad had AIDS. And so her mom is carrying a child and wondering if her other children have AIDS. And so she continued to test herself for 10 years and having to nurse him while he died in front of the kids. And Jessica saw all that. No, and you know what's sad? It's like all we know is just, the police report, her trying to come out. She's been trying to tell her story for so long. I had no idea any of this was a part of her who she was. Normally I'm kind of prepared a little bit for these things, but I don't even know how to console her. How do you console? It's like I want to cry. Like she been holding everything in. And they just been re-victimizing this woman like on the internet. She done shot 2 documentaries. People done used her. She says, I don't want to sue Charlamagne. I want justice. What he took from me, he shouldn't deserve to be in the position that he's in. And that's why I wanted to start off reading that affidavit. So there's no question about, these are false allegations. This was signed by a judge. And the test results were inconclusive because Jessica's mom made her go to Brooklyn under the understanding, leave South Carolina, go to Brooklyn after it happened, and she would take care of everything. And she did not cooperate with authorities to complete the test. And so he was charged with contributing to the delinquency of a minor, but he was not exonerated. Jessica. We got some more napkins here for you, okay? Okay. You want us to get started or are you? Okay. All right. Jessica, normally I'm ready for a lot of things. Like I've been doing this a long time. But when I tell you I'm at a loss for words. I don't. You know, we're coming in, and you know our phone call leading up to this interview, and you asked me, you said, Tasha, how's this gonna go? Because you've done this, and nothing has happened.
Yeah.
They have shot documentaries. They've shot documentaries again. No full scope of what happened is out. Everybody's got a
not in depth like this.
Everybody's got a vendetta against Charlamagne Tha God for whatever personal fucking reason, right? But no reason that they can give is even remotely close to what you've gone through. And to see you re-victimized again and again for people's own gain.
Yeah.
Okay?
And that's the part that hurts so much, because like you let people in to your space, people who are supposed to help you, people who come in and you think they have good intentions, but the whole time it's not even about you. It was never about me for anyone. It was all about what they can gain from my story. Whether it's followers, whether it's money, clout, whatever the case may be, it was just never about me and having my story heard and making sure that I get some type of justice. It's never been about that for anyone.
Jessica, normally I prep for these types of things, right? And there really wasn't any prep except for I just want the world to see who you are. Like, let you say it the way that you want to say it, and you've been wanting to say it since 2017 when the original video came out, and unfortunately it had to be taken down. And a lot of other YouTubers were hit too over technicalities in their videos, and so it was just, that was a moment that started to get pushed under the rug. But like, hearing the details of, what you about your father, I don't even know how to console you. And it was not, and you know that it's not my intention to take you there. Like, and if I did, I wholeheartedly apologize. That is not what we're here for, like, at all.
But it kind of is in a sense.
If you want it cut out, we can cut it out.
No, because if you want to know about me, then you have to know about my life, my story, like how I got to this point to where I am today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because my dad not being around had a major effect on the way my household was and how I was raised.
Yeah.
So you got to talk about that. It got to stay in there.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. Let's okay. Let's talk about that night.
Okay. Do you want to talk about first how I met him?
Yeah, because I just kind of wanted to prepare you that that's where we were going.
I figured that because we were talking about high school.
Right.
And I met him when I was in 9th grade. So I figured.
So Leonard McKelvey, AKA who's known as TV personality, radio personality, Charlamagne Tha God. One of the biggest urban media radio personalities out there. How did you guys come to know each other? Because you knew each other way before the incident happened.
I wouldn't say way before. I want to say maybe a couple of months.
Okay.
At most. I met a friend of his by the name of Rico. I met Rico through my best friend, Shaniqua. I'm not sure how she met him, but they were close or whatever, and the three of us hung out a few times. One time we hung out, he was dropping me back off at my house, But before dropping me off, he said he had a stop he wanted to make. He wanted to go talk to a friend of his, and I was like, that's cool, whatever. And we pulled up to the radio station, and initially I was going to stay in the car. But he was like, you know, you can come out, you know, come inside, and because he was going to be a while. And so I went inside, and he introduced me to Charlamagne.
Okay.
After he introduced us, I kind of just sat over to the side while they were talking. But while they were talking, Charlamagne kept trying to, you know, engage me into the conversation, like asking me questions and stuff like that. And I didn't want to be there for real anyway. I was trying to go home. So every time he would try to communicate with me, I was just kind of like brushing it off and not really, you know, engaging the way that he wanted me to. But I also noticed that when he was talking to Rico, he just kept like looking over at me. And it was kind of weird, like, I don't know, like a thirsty look, I guess, the best way I can explain it. He just kept looking over at me. And it kind of made me uncomfortable. I didn't know, you know, I guess he already had it set in his mind, you know what I mean? Kind of where he wanted to go with things. But after me and Rico left that night, Rico dropped me off home. And like a few days later, I got a phone call from Charlamagne. And I don't know how he got my number. I would assume Rico gave it to him.
Okay.
Because I didn't give it to him. And so he called and he was like, yeah, Charlamagne, we met the other night at the radio station. And he was kind of just like expressing that, you know, that he liked me. Like, it's been so long, I don't remember how that conversation went, but I know that that's what it was about. And I told him, you know, I wasn't into him like that. You know what I mean?
And you're 15. You're 15.
I was 15.
Did you know his age at the time?
I think he told me he was like 18. I did not know he was 22.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he told me he was like 18.
Could he pass for 18, like at the time when you looked at him?
Yeah, he could.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he could. But yeah, he expressed that, you know, he was into me, and I told him that I wasn't into him in the way that he was into me. And he was like, well, maybe we can be friends. And I was like, well, you know, that's fine. 'Cause, you know, I had a lot of guy friends coming up. None of them have ever like violated or crossed the line, but I always had a lot of guy friends. And I hung out with my brother a lot. And, you know, of course, you know, he's hanging out with the guys. I was hanging out with them. So him asking me, you know, if we could be friends, it wasn't anything out of the ordinary. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think we talked for a little bit, and then he ended up calling me again like a few days later or something like that. And he said that he wanted to take me and a couple of my friends, you know, out just to hang out. I think it was for lunch or something. And I told him that was cool. And I reached out to my best friend, Shaniqua, which is the one that introduced me to Rico. And Rico, you know, was Charlamagne's friend. And Shaniqua would go everywhere with me. Like, we were really, really close, and still to this day are best friends. And I told her, I said, you know, this guy wanted to take us out to lunch and just, you know, chill and have fun. Do you want to go? And she was like, yeah, you know. And so we went out with him. He picked us up that day from my house.
What kind of car did he have? You remember?
Oh, girl, I don't remember. I don't remember.
Okay.
I know that he came to my door because my mom wouldn't let me leave without him coming upstairs. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And so he came upstairs, and that's when I introduced him to my mother. And my mother, I think she took like his license plates number and all of those things. And, you know, and she said it was fine for me to go. And so we left. And it was me and my friend Shaniqua. And then I think he had maybe like 3 of his friends with him.
Okay.
I don't even think he introduced us like that. I don't know who they were. But we went to like a Chinese buffet in Charleston. And it was just really like light, you know, fun, like just friends hanging out. It was not a date by any means, you know what I'm saying? It was just a whole bunch of, you know, friends just hanging out. And so, yeah, it was just a good time. You know, we sat, we ate, and we talked and stuff like that. And it was just, you know, a good time, just friends hanging out. And I want to say maybe a couple of weeks after going out with him, he called me and he said that he was having a birthday party. And he said it was going to be at a beach house and he wanted me to come. And initially I said no.
Okay.
Because I don't know, I can't even tell you why. I just didn't want to go. And then he started saying, well, you know, you're like my little sister. You got to come. It's my birthday party. It's going to be fun. We're going to have food. You know what I mean? We're going to have music. We're going to be on the beach, and it's going to be a really good time. And so I eventually gave in and told him that I would go and that I would bring Shaniqua with me because I didn't want to go by myself. And so Shaniqua was supposed to go with me, but I think she ended up, I don't know what happened. I think she ended up like going to her grandmother's house and she wasn't around. And so I didn't want to go by myself. And then I asked Malika to go with me. And Malika is my brother's ex-fiance.
Okay.
And they also have children together. And so I told my mom, I said, well, you know, Shaniqua can't go. So Malika's going to go with me instead. And I told her, you know, because I didn't want to go by myself and she didn't want me to go alone either. And she said that was fine because Malika, I think she was 18 at the time.
Okay.
And so she was supposed to look out for me or whatever. And so, yeah, Malika ended up going with me. But before the day of the incident, we talked to my brother about it and he told us he didn't want us to go.
Your brother?
Yeah.
Okay.
Malika's boyfriend, my brother.
Why did he say he didn't want y'all to go?
I don't remember why. He just didn't think it was a good idea for us to go. But, you know, we ended up going anyway. And so the day of the event, I remember getting dressed. And I remember what I had on too, because it was like my favorite dress. It was like a sundress. It was like brown and like different shades of brown. And then I had on like these strappy wedged sandals to go with it. And I remember getting dressed and then getting a phone call from him. And he said that he was on his way to pick up me and Malika. And I think I had gotten another phone call, but I can't remember. I think I had gotten another phone call from him and he said that they were downstairs. So he wasn't there. He didn't come to pick me up.
Okay.
It was, I want to say maybe about 5 guys. They were all, I guess, his friends and then a cousin of his. And so I went downstairs. I told my mom, I said, okay, I'm leaving. No one came up or anything like that. Me and Malika just went downstairs. And so we went downstairs and it was a sports car. I think it's like a Talon, if I'm not mistaken. And his cousin was driving the Talon or Talon. I don't know how to pronounce it, but
okay.
His cousin was driving a sports car. And then there were, I think like maybe 4 guys in a Denali.
Behind them?
The Denali was parked in the parking spot, and then the sports car was behind the Denali.
Okay. And
the only reason I remember the cars is because I remember getting inside of the car and thinking to myself, okay, it's a lot of guys here, and just like feeling very, very uncomfortable. But I sat in the car and...
Which car did you get into?
The truck.
Okay.
I sat in the car and we sat there for like maybe a couple of minutes. We didn't pull off right away. And I just remember feeling like really, really anxious. And I kept thinking to myself, it's just like way too many guys here. You know, I just was not comfortable. And I leaned over to Malika and I told her, I said, Malika, there's a lot of guys in here. And she bent down because I guess she couldn't hear me. And I told her, I said, it's a lot of guys in here. Mm-hmm. And she just shrugged her shoulders and just kind of like, you know, it was like, whatever. I guess it didn't bother her. But we were sitting there, and I'm telling you, as we sat there, and this is no lie, as we sat there, I heard a voice tell me to get out the car. I heard a voice tell me to get out the car. And I was so scared because nothing like that had ever happened to me before. And I was like, what? And I sat there. And the voice told me, it said, Jessica, don't go. And so for a long time, I blamed myself because I was like, why didn't I listen? Why didn't I just get out the car?
You don't still blame yourself, do you?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Not at all. And so I didn't get out the car, and we just pulled out of the parking spot. And then we drove to, I don't know whose house that was. Drove to a house, and I always assumed that it was maybe like Charlamange's dad's house, because when we got in the house, it was just a whole bunch of older men watching a basketball game. And we were sitting there waiting for Charlamange to come, because he was going to meet us there. And I know initially, and I want to say this because a lot of people have tried to discredit me, because when I initially came out and I was on the Star Show, I think that I said that Charlamange picked me up from my house, when in fact, he didn't pick me up from my house. His friends and his cousin picked me up, and then we met at his dad or whoever's house, and then we went to the party. But I want to let people know that so much time had went by, for one, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. When I first came out and told my story. Not only that, but you're not going to remember everything, like every little detail. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? A lot of things you just block from your memory. A lot of things you just don't remember. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of stuff that I didn't even remember happened until I looked over my paperwork. And then I was reminded of those things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So I just wanted to clear that up, because I've always been consistent with my story, and I've always been consistent with Charlamange being the person that raped me. And I wrote his name down on my
police report.
Police report, thank you. The police report. This was back in 2001, before any of this, you know what I'm saying? Before any of this came to be, back in 2001, I named Charlamange as the person who raped me. You know what I'm saying? I was always consistent. So for people to come along and try to discredit my story just because of one little hiccup, just because of something I did not really remember or couldn't recall at the time, it's crazy to me.
I personally took it as that it was, you were under the impression that he was coming.
I was. And then he called me and switched it up and said somebody else was coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so I never kind of discredited you based off of that detail.
It wasn't you.
I know.
You know who it was.
I know who it was. But however, it's like, I mean, how old are you now?
37.
Okay, so we're talking about 2017, you were 34 years old.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about something that happened over 15 plus years ago,
Yeah,
damn near 20 years.
Yeah.
So every single detail, like I can't remember every single detail when it came to my uncle at 5, or let alone, I remember being in the car and I got my ass whooped really bad by my mom because she swore up and down I smoked weed. And I was like, I didn't smoke no weed. And I'm like, but I can't remember like the color of the car. You asked me what the color of the car was. I can't remember. Yeah. So like, I never thought that detail was significant enough to discredit your story. And besides, he's talked about this. I think he tried to get in front of it because he always knew that one day it would come. It would come out. And so I remember him doing an interview with DJ Academics talking about it. Yeah. And but when you came out, it was like, well, you said this, but and you didn't come with just the story. You came with the affidavit. Yeah. So it was like, Charlamagne, but you told us you were exonerated, and you were not exonerated. Right. That never happened. Exonerated means you were determined by the state of South Carolina that you did not rape Jessica Reid.
Oh, that never happened.
That never happened.
That never happened.
You took a plea deal for a lesser charge because her mother sent her away and did not cooperate with the authorities. But them people did not let you go because they knew that you were the one responsible for you being in that position. Yeah. Why wasn't any of the guys in the car responsible that came that day? It was you. Yeah. So they had to, and most time they'll just dismiss, like, we ain't got no evidence, we don't have no witness. They didn't let him go.
That part.
They was just like, oh, okay, well, we gonna still get you on this. Yeah. Because you contributed to this, and the hospital determined that she was raped and she was with you, and you're an adult. Right. So, period. Like, I just wanted to make that known. So whether he picked you up and was in the car, the state of South Carolina said that he contributed to the delinquency of a minor and put you in a situation to where you ended up raped. Mm-hmm. Okay? And he was due to be charged.
Something else I wanted to clear up, because I think that he said someone else's DNA was found in my rape kit. Go ahead, though. But the truth is, there was no DNA found in my rape kit. And that's why it was imperative for me to speak at court. They needed my testimony. They needed me to testify in order for those charges to stick.
So the voice is telling you to get out the car. How long? So you get to Charlamagne's, who you're under the impression like this is his uncle's house, his people's house. Mm-hmm. Did he eventually come out? The room?
He came. He walked in the front door. Okay. And he introduced me to his dad, and that's why I always thought it was his dad's house. Okay. He didn't introduce me to anyone else besides his dad. And I introduced him to Malika because he had never met Malika before. And so after that, we got in that truck, that Denali. And then we were driving, but we made a stop because I had to call my mom and Malika wanted to call my brother to check in. So Malika had gotten out the car to use the payphone, and she called my brother. And one of the guys had a phone in the car, and I called my mom. And I told my mom, I said, I'm okay. I'm getting ready to go to the party. And she told me, okay. She said, well, check in again. Let me know when you get there. And so after all of that, we drove down this long, dark road. I feel like we were driving for hours. It was just so far away. Because I lived in Somerville, and I think this was somewhere out in Moncks Corner somewhere, and that was kind of far from where I used to live. And so we were just driving, and then we finally pulled up to the villa, but you had to have like military ID to access the villa. Okay. And so I don't know how he was able to do that. According to the paperwork, I think it said something about a cousin or someone, an uncle who had gotten them the villa. Okay. And that's why they were able to have the party there. But his name is in the paperwork as well. And so after we pass through the gate, we drive down to the villa, and it's supposed to be a birthday party. So I'm expecting it to just look a certain type of way. I'm expecting there to be music. I'm expecting there to be, like a party scene. Right. Not only that, by the time we got there, it was really dark, and it just felt really off to me, just pulling up to the villa, and it didn't feel right. And so we walked into the villa, and more guys. I want to say it was maybe, I don't know, I want to say maybe like 15 guys all together. Like with the people that we drove there with and the people inside, probably about 15 guys all together. And then there were 2 girls in the back, like on the patio. But there was like no birthday cake, there was no balloons, no music. It did not give off a birthday vibe. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so that kind of just, made me feel some type of way. And then we sat down, me and Malika sat on the couch, and I remember, I think they were watching a basketball game there too. And Charlamagne started fixing drinks, and he gave Malika a drink. Now, Malika's demeanor that night, like, I don't think she felt nothing, like nothing was off to her. Like, I feel like she was just ready to have a good time because, she didn't get out much.
Make sure you're speaking to the mic. Just pull it up. No, that mic, the white mic. Oh. Yeah, just pull it up. Like, you can go like this. You see this? You can go like this. Oh, well, yours won't check. So, okay. Okay, cool. All right. I just wanted to make sure because she had sat up. Yeah. Okay, cool. So we got to make sure we get this story. Okay. So, you feel like Malika her intuition didn't not at alert all. Her to anything. I
think she was just ready to finally get out the house because at that point she had had my niece. Okay. So she was a new mom, and she didn't really get out much. She was always at home with the baby or with my brother. So I think she just, was ready to, just enjoy being a teenager because, like I said, she was 18. So I don't think anything felt off to her. And when Charlamagne made her the drink, she took it and she was drinking. And he made a drink for me, but I did not want to take the drink. And I told him, I was like, no, I'm good. I don't want to drink or anything. And he told me, he said, nothing's going to happen to you tonight. He said, I'm going to make sure I take care of you. He said, you're going to be good. Just drink and just have a good time. And I kept telling him, no, I don't want to drink. And then he just kept, talking and trying to persuade me to drink. And eventually I did take the drink. And I sat down, and Malika, I looked to my right, and Malika, she had already finished her cup. And so he made her another drink. And I'm sipping on my drink, and Malika is on her second drink. And then out of nowhere, she just started throwing up. Oh. She started throwing up, and then all the guys that were there, they just started laughing. Everybody just thought it was hilarious how she was just sitting there throwing up, and she was just kind of like, kind of out of it. And I looked at her, and I was like, like, what? I had never seen her that way. And I was not a drinker. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I was just real, like, I was scared. You know what I mean? And so somebody had brought her some paper towels and she was trying to wipe herself off. By this time, I think maybe I had finished like a little more than half of my drink. And I just sat the drink on the floor, you know, after I had seen Malika throwing up. And I don't know, I started to feel, kind of like lightheaded, and I started to feel just different. I didn't really feel like myself. And so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go to the bathroom and I'm just gonna go sit in the bathroom, because I felt like if I was in the bathroom, then I would be good just to sit in the bathroom. And so when I had gotten up, immediately I collapsed to the floor. And I couldn't control my limbs. So I couldn't control my arms that much, and I couldn't control my legs. I just like collapsed to the floor. And then I just remember hearing all the guys laughing in the back. And then I remember hearing Charlamagne tell these guys who ended up being Larry and Boo to take me upstairs.
You were still in the bathroom at this point?
I never made it to the bathroom, because when I got up and tried to go to the bathroom, I ended up collapsing in the living room where everyone was. So I didn't make it to the bathroom by myself.
Okay.
Larry and Boo did take me to the bathroom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then that's when
I know that, you know, you've unfortunately had to tell this story before, and to have you keep telling the story, because people have re-victimized you using your story to monetize or use it as get back for their personal vendettas against Charlamagne. Is just, it should have just been out there.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have had to wait. You shouldn't have had to ask, you know? And I thought at first I wanted to throw those people's names out here, but I was like, we're not here for them. We're here for you.
Yeah.
And so I just don't think it's important that we, you know, we bring up fleas, because I felt like they were fleas sucking blood for clout.
Yeah, that's exactly what they were.
And your story gets lost, and you get re-victimized over and over again.
And then they move on, and then I'm stuck with dealing with the old trauma and now the new trauma that I've just experienced.
Right. So when they pick you up, take you to the bathroom, when Charlamagne tells them, what happens next?
So they carry me upstairs to the bathroom. Now, mind you, even though I can't like really move my limbs, I can hear just fine. You know what I mean? I can see, even though it's a little hazy, I can still see. You know what I mean? And they take me upstairs in the bathroom, and I thought they were just gonna leave me in the bathroom, but they didn't. They took me upstairs in the bathroom, and then they closed the door behind them. They were in the bathroom with me. And so I had one person over here holding me up, and then the other person over here holding me up, Larry and Boo. And that's when they just started getting physical with me, and touching on me, and I think it was Boo, the short, light-skinned one who, and I hate talking about this part, because it was just like so traumatizing, like that feeling of what he was doing. And like sometimes I swear, like I can like literally still feel it. It's crazy, you know what I mean? But he was just like jamming his fingers, you know what I mean, in my vagina, and it was just, the pain was just, it was just like so intense, you know what I mean? And he was just doing this, and then the other guy was just touching on me while they were holding me up, and it was,
How long did that last in the bathroom?
I don't even know.
So when did, what happened next?
They left me in there. And I was just laying there, and it was a lot of in and out. Like, the tall guy, Larry, I think, he would come back and then open the door, close the door, and leave. And it was just a lot of that.
Were you being penetrated at this point with more than a hand?
No, not at this point.
Okay.
No.
But they just kept coming in the bathroom?
They were just opening the door and then leaving.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, was it because that, do you think it was because you were there for Charlamagne?
I don't know.
Or, you know, because that's... So they're coming in and out of the bathroom, and they're just looking at you, and you can't physically move. So I take it was a date rape drug where it paralyzes you.
Yeah.
And you can hear and you're conscious. I remember being warned about that when I was in high school. And so you and I aren't too far off in age. I'm sorry, Jessica. I remember taking classes, and you know, I'm from Panama City Beach, and so they would tell us, you know, when you go out there, don't take a drink, because they would give you drinks that would paralyze you. And Shay, you okay? Okay. They would give you drinks that would paralyze you, but you would still hear and see everything. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like you were out of it to the point where you don't remember who is on top of you. You could clearly hear and see, but you cannot move. And then they would rape you.
Yeah.
You know, and it would be bartenders in on this. It would be, this is what I'm gonna do, because I don't want, because I know he's here. And I want you to be able to completely just open up. Mm-hmm. I'm going to ask him just to leave the room so you can, you know. Thank you. All right.
I don't even think I knew what a date rape drug was. I know I had heard of Mickey's.
Yeah, I never heard of Mickey's.
Well, I guess that's what they called it. I don't know, but that's what they used to call, I guess, Mickey's, put a Mickey in your drink.
Okay, yeah, I did hear it that way. You know, because we had MTV, like Spring Break in Panama City Beach. We had, I don't know if you remember hearing that. Like they would go live Spring Break and then be televised. Yeah, mm-hmm. And so a lot of girls would get date raped out there, but they wouldn't talk about it because it's embarrassing. To them, it was embarrassing. You shouldn't have been out there, and you know, what are you doing out there? And a lot of girls were underage out there. I think that's when Girls Gone Wild was like really big at the time, and so, you know, I was kind of like, oh, chop it up, nature of the game per se, but it was just like, it was really heavy around that time.
Yeah,
you know, and you being at a house with like 15 guys and only 4 girls and no cake in sight, it's like, okay, what are we here for? Yeah. And you're ignoring your intuition.
It was definitely premeditated. Everyone knew, I'm sure.
I mean, especially if you're being helped to the bathroom and these two are, you know, touching on you and penetrating you with their hands and stuff, like, it's like, oh, wait a minute. So, and you could not fight back. You could not get up and walk. You could.
No. I mean, there was a point where I kind of tried to do, that.
Because you didn't finish your drink. So if you would have finished the whole drink.
Oh, I would have been done. And I think the only reason Malika might have been okay is because she threw up a lot.
Yes, she got it out of her system.
Yeah, she threw up a lot.
Okay.
I believe that she was also assaulted. But strangely enough, she never spoke to me about what happened to her.
You just kind of bottled it up.
Yeah. We never talked about it until, 2017 when we came out.
Because she did come out in support of you.
Yeah,
and she kind of, I think all the press sent her back like, I can't deal with this.
She was pregnant too when she came out.
Oh, wow.
So she had a lot going on.
Okay. And she's pregnant by your brother?
No, when she came out in 2017, when she supported me and corroborated my story.
She was pregnant.
She was pregnant.
Mm-hmm. So let's go back to the bathroom. When does, so the men are coming in and out. When does Charlamagne, were you assaulted by anybody else besides Larry and Boo that night? Besides Larry, Boo, and Charlamagne? Anybody else? No. So when did he enter the bathroom? Did he enter the room? So what happened?
He did. He came into the bathroom and he picked me up and put me on the bed.
So he took you, was the bathroom?
Right next to the bedroom, right? Okay. So the bathroom is here, bedroom is here.
Okay.
And he picked me up and put me on the bed. And then he left. And then it was just like a lot of in and out. And then Larry came in. And Larry did try to have sex with me. I was laying on the bed and Larry laid next to me. And I could feel his penis. It was rubbing up against the side of my body. And I wasn't able to move my limbs, but I did roll. And when I rolled, I fell off the bed. Okay. And then when I fell off the bed, he put me back on the bed and then he left.
Okay.
Yeah, he left. And then shortly after, it seemed like I was there forever. Like, I don't know how long it took for Charlamagne to get back in the room, but I was just literally just laying in a dark room. There were no lights on. I was laying in a dark room just by myself, just laying there. I didn't know what was going to happen next. I was terrified because I did not, of course, did not expect anything like this to happen. You know what I mean? And then Charlamagne walked in. And I'm laying on the bed. And he walked in. And he got on top of me. And he was heavy. You know what I mean? I was 125 pounds. You know what I'm saying? 5'1", 125 pounds. Very just small and petite. And he had gotten on top of me. And I couldn't roll the way that I rolled when the other guy was there. So it was nothing I could do. You know what I mean? It was nothing I could do. I do not want to talk about, what happened in that bed and stuff. Do I got to talk about that?
You want a break? You want a break?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll take a break. All right.
I wanted to get through telling this story without being so emotional, but I just can't.
I wouldn't expect you to be any other way. I cannot stand not being in control of my body.
Yeah, it was really scary.
I remember I used to have anxiety a lot because I used to be afraid that I was going to die because my grandmother had died and she was really close to me. And so I remember my mom, she wasn't the best nurturer when it came to explaining things like that. And so she would tell me, everybody got to ride in that car someday. And so when things would happen to me, or I would be under, it could be headache medicine. I mean, to this day, I still have anxiety when it comes to taking medicine. But I remember like when I would be out of control of my body, I would think that I was going to die. Mm-hmm. And so for me to put myself in your shoes that night and I'm given a drink, first of all, at the time I remember a boy did give me, I was like 17 and he invited me to his house around the corner, like literally my house is right here, his house is behind. I think at the time he was 21, 22. But he had never tried me sexually or anything like that. We were just cool. Mm-hmm. And I remember one day he was like, yo, come through, we're gonna, play a video game, something like that. And I remember it was during the day, it was like 3:00 in the afternoon. Mm-hmm. And I left school and I told my auntie, I was like, hey, I'm gonna go over here to such and such house and, we're gonna play a video game. So she had known him. She was like, all right, cool. Mm-hmm. So that little boy ain't doing nothing. He ended up giving me a lemonade.
What's that? Is that the same thing as what I had for the most part?
Well, this was a Mike's Hard lemonade. He didn't.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
I didn't know at the time because I didn't drink. So I took a drink, alcohol, because it was in a bottle. It was yellow and it looked like lemonade. So I was like, oh, okay. And I'm drinking and I'm like, what's wrong with me? Because I don't drink. I don't do drugs, right?
That's how I was.
Yeah. And you think you 125, girl. I was 114. I'm tiny, and I'm like, what did you give me? And he starts laughing. He's like, how you feel? And I was like, I gotta go home. My auntie stands by the door smelling like she always used to do that. So I was always terrified to do anything because she could smell. Yeah. She would try to smell me like, let me smell you, open your mouth, let me see. She would do like little checks when we came through the door. Mm-hmm. And so, I remember me just sitting there because I drank it so fast and I had never had alcohol before. That was like my first time. And I was like, why would you do that? Why would you give it to me? He was like, I don't know, you were thirsty. I was just like, and in that moment, I remember having a bad feeling like, I got to get the hell out of here. But I did not like the feeling of not being in control of my body. So having my limbs, like it didn't get to that point. Mm-hmm. It was more so like woozy, I'm kind of, but for you to be in a home and then you already had a bad feeling about it, Malika downstairs acting up, you put your drink down when she is showing signs of, okay, let me just chill out, and you take the drink and then you collapse. You collapse and you lose. I couldn't imagine. I mean, did you think you were going to die?
I did. Not when I collapsed, but more so when I was upstairs on the bed. I thought I was gonna die. So many things was like, so many like thoughts and emotions, and I was just going through it because there was nothing I could do. There was nothing. I couldn't get up and walk. It was crazy because I felt like I couldn't even scream. I don't know if I didn't want to scream because I was afraid. I don't know, but I didn't even, at that point, I hadn't even screamed. I was just laying there with no control over myself, not knowing what was going to happen next, not knowing if I was going to be killed, not knowing if they were going to throw me on the side of the road somewhere, not knowing what the hell is going on with Malika. I felt trapped. I felt trapped in my body. And
I mean, you were trapped in your body.
Yeah, I couldn't do nothing. And then when he actually got on me and then started doing these things, there was a point where I felt like I wasn't even there anymore. Like I kind of felt like it was like an out-of-body experience.
Was there a moment in your recollection where he undressed himself?
don't remember. I don't remember. I do remember him trying to get me to give him oral. But because I was so weak and I was kind of just like wobbly, you know, and woozy, and he was just, oh my God, oh my fucking God.
So you're laying down on the bed, on your back.
I was on my back, but then it's like picked me up and kind of was like trying to move me and position me to where he wanted me.
Okay.
But I was, you know, I just wasn't stable. I was just moving around. And I guess he kind of got restless with trying to maneuver me around to where he wanted me. And then after that, he just laid me on my back.
Okay.
And then he gave me oral.
Okay. Now, when he tried to give him oral, I mean, so obviously his penis was out of his pants by this time. So did he still have his pants on?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember, but I do remember him saying, when he was trying to get me to give him oral, I remember him saying, come on now, you gotta suck my dick or something.
Okay. So when he gave you oral, you're obviously, were you what happened next? I can't.
So he gave me oral, and then when he was done, he came towards me and whispered in my ear. And he said, didn't I tell you I was going to take care of you? And then that's when the actual act, that's when.
So I don't want to put words in your mouth, and I don't want to put, I don't want to insinuate things were happening, and I would definitely was not there. When you say that's when the act happened, were you penetrated?
Yes.
Okay. And do you remember if a condom was used?
I do not.
Earlier in the interview, you said that they found that you were raped, and it was consistent with a sexual assault, that you had been raped.
Yeah.
And Charlamagne was the only guy that was implicated in this. Do you feel like the reason no DNA was found was because maybe a condom was on?
Yeah.
Because you said the room was dark.
The room was dark. And then let me also say this, because I know people are going to say, well, if the room was dark, how do you know it was him? For one, I heard his voice when he was on me. But the most important part is when he opened the door, I saw his face because it was illuminated by the light in the hallway.
Okay.
So I saw him.
Okay.
No, there's no doubt in my mind. I saw him.
Okay. And I know it's hard for you to and I don't want to ask you how long do you think it lasted? Obviously, did he finish? Did he ejaculate?
I don't know, but like I said, that whole situation from the time I got to the bathroom up until the time that I was raped and during the rape, it just seemed so long. I don't know how much time had passed.
Okay.
It just seemed so long, but I do remember that I ended up eventually getting to a point where I could scream.
Okay.
And I started to scream, not all at once, but I, eventually regained, and I started to scream, and then he jumped up. And then he left. And I kept screaming. I did not stop screaming. I kept screaming, and I kept screaming, and I kept screaming. And I think Malika came in there. Malika opened the door and she was just like stumbling and she was like, Jessica, what happened? And I just remember I kept screaming and I said, he raped me.
How did you get out of the house?
Malika helped me down. Well, we kind of like helped each other. Before we even got out of the house, I guess because I was screaming so much, everybody downstairs came upstairs. And I don't know if I was on the floor or the bed, but I remember having a sheet around me. And according to the paperwork, I tried to light the house on fire by burning the blankets. I don't remember that.
Okay.
I don't remember that. And there was a hole in the wall that I put there after everything had transpired. I don't even know how. I don't even know how I was strong enough to do that because I don't remember. I guess I blacked out during that time once I had realized what happened. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I blacked out and it's really like a blur because I don't remember putting a hole in the wall. I don't remember trying to light the house on fire, but it's in the statements and
okay.
I just don't remember.
Okay. So when did your full recollection of things come back? Was it like, because of course you guys help each other downstairs and were people, do you remember people just standing around just looking at you, or were they trying to help you? The guys that were there?
They all came upstairs when I was screaming, and then one of them, they were like, stop screaming. Ain't nobody do nothing to you. Stop screaming before I kick you in the head or something like that. Someone said that. And I just wouldn't stop. And then everybody just, like, they left. They ran out. And it was just me and Malika there. And Malika was like, where are your clothes? And I said, I don't know. I don't know where my clothes are. And she's just stumbling around the room trying to find my clothes. And then she found my clothes and helped me get dressed. And then we walked down the stairs together. And we walked outside right in front of the villa. And there was a car outside, a car full of guys. I can only assume that they were a part of the party. I don't know. But they asked us if we were okay and if we needed to use a phone.
Okay.
And Malika called my mom, and my mom called the police.
Okay.
And then the guys, I can't remember if they left or if they stayed, but I want to say they stayed because me and Malika were alone for a while until the EMS got there. Like, we were by ourselves. It was just dark. And then I just remember sitting on the curb just crying. I remember sitting on the curb just crying. And I was holding on to Malika and I said, Malika, I love you. And she said, I love you too. And eventually the ambulance pulled up and they put us in inside the back of the ambulance. And I don't know why, but I just like, I did not want to be in there because it was real small and compact, and I just did not feel safe, even though, you know, it was the EMS and I was totally safe. I just did not feel safe. I did not want to be back there. And so I just started like hyperventilating, and then just, you know, just going crazy. Like, I couldn't believe that happened to me. And so we got to the hospital, and my mom was already there, and my brother, Tyrone, he was there, and he actually came up to the truck, the ambulance, and as soon as they took me out on a stretcher, he was the first face that I saw.
He was the one that didn't want you to go.
Yeah. And he was the first face that I saw that night. But man, that whole process, like being in the hospital and then having that rape kit done after being raped, that was just a mess. It just felt so cold, you know what I mean? Like me just laying there on the bed with my foot in the stirrups, and them just giving me this exam after I've been violated. And
was your mom right there beside you?
She was there. Yeah,
Okay.
She was in the room. She was in a room, and then after the nurse was done, I remember her giving me a lollipop, and my mom took me home. But the gown or the dress that I had on, they gave me that back to put on, so I put that dress back on.
They didn't keep it?
No, and I thought that was really weird. They did not keep it. I didn't think that was weird then, but you know, now in hindsight, I'm like, well, that's evidence. Why wouldn't they have kept that? But yeah, I put the dress back on, and I went home, and I remember the drive home was just really silent. My mom didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. And then I went to my room, and I stayed in my room for days. Like, I didn't really talk to anyone. My mom, she came and checked on me. And then that was it. You know, she'd open the door and, you know, make sure I was okay, and then close the door. But we didn't have a conversation about it. She didn't ask me how I felt. There was no type of dialogue after that happened. I don't remember her like hugging me after that happened. Nobody came in that room, and if they did, they just opened the door and closed it while I was in there on my bed. The only person that did come and speak to me was our neighbor. We were really close to her. I'll never forget her. Her name is Ganel. And she came upstairs, and she came in my room, and she just started talking to me and just pouring out her heart and telling me, you know, that something similar happened to her when she was a little girl. And she just hugged me, and she just cried with me. And that was the only person that was the only person that reached out. No one else. You know, me and Malika didn't talk about it. My brother, you know, we didn't talk about it. My mom, she didn't say anything. And I was just in my room, you know, to myself. And I remember getting up one day because I guess I got tired of laying around. And I don't know, I told myself I was gonna get up and wash the dress that I had on that night. And so I went in the bathroom and took my radio, because I used to always make tapes. Like, you know, back then we had the cassette tapes and you can record music from the radio. So I used to always make tapes, and I always liked oldies. And so I had this tape full of oldies that I made and took it with me in the bathroom and start playing the tape. And then as the songs were playing, I was washing the dress. And I don't know why I was washing the dress. I don't know the logic behind it. I don't know why I started washing the dress, but I was washing the dress, and then my mom knocked on the door, and I unlocked it, let her in, and she said, "Are you okay?" And I told her, "Yeah." I said, "I'm okay." And then she closed the door and left. And in my mind, I was like, I'm not okay. And I need more from you than to just ask me if I'm okay. I need more from you than to just every once in a while just peep in the door and then close it. And that's how that happened. And then shortly after that, I ended up going to New York.
So you didn't return to school or anything?
Nah, I didn't want to go to school out there anymore. But I made it very clear to my mom that I wanted to testify. And I had a conversation with her a few times about it before she sent me to New York. And I told her, I said, you know, I want to go to court and I want to speak. But I could tell she didn't want me to. You know what I mean? I could tell. She didn't say much about it, but I could just tell just by her energy that she did not want me to do that.
Did you guys ever, now that you're 37 and obviously your mom has been very vocal about what Charlamagne has done to you, did you guys ever have that conversation as to why? Because I mean, that was essentially why the breakdown between, because I mean, everything happens for a reason. I do believe that.
Me too.
And so it just wasn't the right time for us to really, and maybe I wasn't in the headspace to do it, you know, at the time, to do a proper interview with you. And like I told you, I told you in the car, my picture from the hotel, I said, you know, I've always believed your story. Mm-hmm. And I told you why. And you was like, really? And I was like, yes. Mm-hmm. And then I told you why. And the reason why is because when Charlamagne wrote his book, he had changed out the characters. So he wrote about his life. Mm-hmm. And he changed the names of the family members that he was talking about. But the family members, of course, you know, like when I do stuff, they watch my channel, you know, they know, you know, Mom, why you say that? Well, it's a part of who I am. I share who I am. But in order to protect the privacy of his family and their names, he decided to still tell the story, but change the names. And let me look, because I want to make sure I got this book, because he had wrote like a couple of books. Hold on for a second. Let me make sure. But I remember being on Facebook, researching. Oh, Jessica, this just came to me. What? I remember being on Facebook because I was like, when I had heard your story, I said, she's not lying. And I went and researched everybody at Monk that had Monk's Corner, South Carolina, in their bio. So there was a way I could do it. And so what I did was I ended up finding, I was like, who's Charlamagne Tha God's family? Mm-hmm. And so I ended up researching the family. And this is how I came to that post.
Okay.
I am a diligent Facebook searcher. I can search anything on Facebook. And so I started DMing people that lived in Monk's Corner. And I'm like, hey, do you know Charlamagne Tha God? Did you grow up with him? Because I was going to travel to get people's recollection of what they had heard. Because, you know, in small towns.
Oh, they talk.
They talk.
Yeah.
So, and I remember coming across a post, and I can't remember if it was Larry's page, not Larry's page, but one of his it was one of his family members' page that he had.
Andre Ferguson.
Yes. Matter of fact, you know what? I'm gonna try to search that post because he didn't delete it.
He didn't.
No. Okay. No. And so it was still there when I looked, and he was like commenting on the book that Charlamagne had wrote, and was like how, you know, he wasn't pleased with how he was portrayed in that book. He's like, I know you were talking about me. Yeah. And so don't quote me verbatim, but he did say, Bill Cosby, do you remember what happened that night in Monk's Corner, South Carolina? And then he called Charlamagne Bill Cosby. And I was like, this had nothing to do with any beef or him co-signing you. He was just saying, like, how dare you write about me?
He was upset about the way he was portrayed.
And this is who you are. And I said, and then I had to go back and get the day. I said, what is he talking about? What night happened? And why would he call him Bill Cosby? And this was right around the time when all the allegations were coming out about Bill Cosby drugging women, raping them. Yeah. Okay. And so, and we know the history of that. And so I said, this is Jessica Reid he's talking about.
He was there probably, I guess.
I was like, this is not a coincidence because it was totally, it wasn't in,
If he wasn't there, he heard about it. But then I believe in his post, he made it seem like he actually was there, right?
That's what I'm trying, Black privilege. Black privilege. So that was the name of the book. Let me see something. Let me make sure. Shook One, that was his first book. Okay, Shook One was about Chronicles of the Journey to Be.
I think he also tried to portray me as being some girl that was on drugs, getting drunk, upstairs, having sex with his friends.
Yeah, Charlamagne Tha God, Black privilege. Breaking free from your fears, anxieties, being shook is more of a rap lyric for Charlamagne. Okay, so I take it he was probably using fables or parables or, you know, how they typically do that. But it was one book. Let me go to Andrew Ferguson's page, and I'm just going to scroll while we're talking because you said it was Andre
Ferguson.
Let me see. Because I went through everybody. Let me see. Because I know specifically his said Monk's Corner, South Carolina. Make sure I spelled this right just to be on the safe side. I want to give you a break because you crying and, you know, I know. I was like, I want to give her a break for a second and, you know, we can just kind of chit chat a little bit before we pick back up. But, you know, I just, I'm going to have to find this post. I don't think this is him.
Was back in like 20, was it 2018?
Is this him?
Girl, no.
I was going to say, I don't think nobody in.
Older guy, bald with a beard.
Let me do this. Hold on. I'm going to find it.
I think I have it. I'm going to get my phone.
Okay, go ahead.
Sent it to me a long time ago and I kept it.
Okay. Yeah. I just wanted to give her a break because she had been crying for so long. She got a headache from crying so much. So you were? No, you.
No, I was not. I swear to God.
I was like, he can't do this to me.
That's what you were thinking, but I wasn't.
You was like.
Yeah.
And then when I asked you to put your head up, I was like, oh God, he about to do it again. So And I think she felt more comfortable when she left, when she went in.
That's what I feel. If I'm not in here, they're more comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. So. I told you it was going to be a while. Okay. When did we start recording?
5-something.
Okay. I want you to leave. There's only one part that needs to be cut out. Okay. I want you to leave everything in here. It's because nothing can be cut. There's only one part that needs to be cut out, and it was me mixing up the dates of Malika. And I told her, I was like, we'll cut that out because I don't want people getting confused. Like, because I got confused for a second. And it was my fault. She was very clear, but I was just like, wait, Malika was pregnant when she was raped? Like, she was like, no, 2017. I'm thinking, but when she came out, I'm like, she was pregnant. You know what I'm saying? I was so confused. And so, it can't appear. Matter of fact, I don't even want no ads in this. This is going on YouTube as is. Boom. Okay. So she going to look for the text message real quick. So
You have an hour left.
okay. Okay. And if you find it like later, just send it to me so I can add it in.
Okay.
Yeah, while we
Let's see the text message. Yes.
all right.
Oh God, my head hurts.
I know. How do you feel though, besides your head hurting?
I feel good.
Okay.
I feel
I'll
like
get
it's
you
very
something.
therapeutic being able to where the hell can I sit this here?
Yeah.
Being able to just talk about it and just to let it out.
And I know, like I said, I know it's redundant, like, cause you like, I gotta keep telling this story, but this will probably be the last time, to be honest with you.
I believe so.
Yeah.
To this extent.
Yeah.
Because going into details is a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. So, of course, we already talked about you being sent to New York with your uncle, and then having to see and relive your molestation from when you were 5. You said at 18, and you're just kind of going through the motions. So fast forward, you said 18, everything just came out. You were holding everything in. It just came out. How did it come out?
I think it came out because
and I'm talking about your emotions, just in case people wonder.
Well, I think I was triggered by my kid's father. Now, when I was in New York, I stayed there for just the summer, but we ended up moving to Virginia Beach.
Okay.
And I want to say maybe 6 months after moving there, I met my kid's father in school. And, you know, initially he was a great guy. And I think that I was really looking for love, because I feel like I never received love, you know, and I just wanted to feel important. I wanted to feel like I mattered. I wanted to like feel wanted, you know, and I felt like in the beginning he provided like everything that I thought that I wanted, or everything that I did want. But it wasn't until maybe a couple of years into our relationship, around the time that I had gotten pregnant with our first child, that I don't know, he just started to change. And he was very like verbally abusive. Like the things that he would say to me were just so harsh, and it would just really cut me deep, because in my mind, this is someone who I care about, who I love. You know what I mean?
How old were you at the time?
I was 18.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was with him for about maybe 2.5 years at this point. And yeah, it was just someone who I loved, who I respected, and who I cared about so much. And I just couldn't understand why he would say these things to me. And at the same time, I was like, well, if he's saying it, then maybe it really is true. And then I started to develop like anxiety, you know, and then my self-esteem, it was already low, but it just, I don't know, it got worse. And after having our first kid, we moved out because we were with my mom. She let him stay there, and we moved out and got our own place. And like he was just never around. You know, he was always hanging out, and I was in the house with the baby. And I just had a lot of time to myself. And having a lot of alone time kind of like, you know, made me reflect on the past. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then that's when things started to resurface. And he had known about the assault. He knew that I was raped. Because I told him about it, and you know, he was very compassionate and everything in the beginning, but I don't think that he was really able to be there for me the way I needed him to, because he was just so young. He was a kid, you know what I mean? I don't think he knew how to do that. But being by myself almost every day, all the time, it left me in a place where I was just overthinking and thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking. And then I started thinking about my dad and thinking about what happened to me. And then I just started to become like depressed. You know what I mean? I was very unhappy with my life. I was unhappy with the way things were. I wasn't happy with my relationship. But at the same time, it's like, I felt like, well, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go? You know what I mean? I felt like nobody else would love me the way that he loved me. And it was kind of, I don't know, it was just weird how I just felt like stuck, and I felt like I couldn't get out of that situation that I was in. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so a couple of years passed by, and I remember we were at his mom's house, and I was sitting down watching TV, and I was flipping through, and I ended up seeing Wendy Williams on TV. And I was watching Wendy Williams for a little bit, and then the cameraman like peered to the right, and then I saw Charlamange's face. And I was like, what? Because even though I hadn't testified in court, I always thought that they had enough evidence to put him in jail, and that he would register as a sex offender, and that he would not be in a position to where he can get a job like that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because, you know, at this point, my mom hadn't really had a conversation with me about what happened with my
Right.
court case.
Right.
And so I would ask her all the time, what happened? When am I going to go to court and speak? And she kind of just swept it under the rug. And so I eventually ended up thinking that maybe they didn't need me, maybe they had all they needed, and he just ended up going to jail.
Because you hadn't seen him since
I
that
hadn't
night.
seen him. I hadn't heard from any attorneys because my mom was dealing with everyone.
Okay.
So I just thought that, hey, maybe he spent some time in jail, or maybe he still is in jail. I wasn't sure. But seeing him on TV really confused me, and then it triggered me, And then that's when things really hit the fan. And that's when I kind of started to spiral downward. And that's when, shortly after that I started to experience the flashbacks of that night. And that's when I started having the intimacy issues, because prior to that I was fine. But after seeing him and it triggering me, it kind of brought me back to that place where I was kind of this little girl who was just helpless and taken advantage of. And so anytime that I did try to be intimate with my kid's father, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. It would be a lot of pain. And I had never experienced this before until that trigger. It would be a lot of pain there. I remember sometimes us trying to engage, and then I would start crying because I could literally just see it happening all over again in my mind. And so I
understand exactly what you're talking about.
I became even more depressed than I was, because dealing with my kid's father was just tumultuous, and, the verbal abuse, and then the lies, and just everything that came with being with him. And then he was, physical with me a couple of times as well. So I was dealing with that, and then now seeing Charlamagne on TV, and that just caused things to just get even worse. And so I kind of just shut down. I shut down, and I ended up just staying to myself. And I was already always home anyway, but it came to a point where I wasn't even communicating with my family, and I just really, really shut down, because then I started to feel okay, why weren't these people there for me when I needed them? And then the abandonment issues, you know what I mean? And all of that stuff started to happen. And then I was really upset with my mom. And I know I went to her a couple of times after seeing Charlamagne and telling her that I saw him on TV, and she didn't want to talk about it. And so, I really felt I just felt alone. I felt like no one had my back. I felt like I was unprotected. You know what I mean? And it was really hard for me. And so, I don't know, I was really, really, really depressed, and I developed social anxiety. I developed my hands would just shake really bad. And then every time I would get a flashback, I don't know how to describe it, but my mouth would twitch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was just really weird. And I was going through all of these different things. And I even thought about just ending my life a few times. You know what I mean? Because I was just really, really, really unhappy. And
how old's your baby at this time?
Oh, this is when my youngest was maybe 10. So by this time, when all of this happened, I had probably had maybe 3 children by this time.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, and I remember just feeling so bad one day, to the point where I ended up taking some pills. I can't remember what I took. But I took some pills, and then I washed it down with some alcohol. And after I took the pills, I started to, tell myself okay, you shouldn't have done that. And immediately I ran to my children's father, and I told him, I said, I told him what I did. And he was asleep, and I woke him up and told him what happened. And he jumped up, and I remember I just started to throw up. And as I'm throwing up, I fell to the floor, and then he started to kick me when I was on the floor. And he said, "You a stupid bitch. Why would you do that?" And he just proceeds to kick me, and I'm just there on the floor. And then I had fell over, and then he went to the bathroom and called my mom. And I don't know what he told my mother. He didn't tell her what happened, though. But he told her, I think he said that I had taken too many pills or something. I needed to go to the doctor.
So for her to come get you?
For her to come and get me and take me to the doctor. Yeah.
Did she come?
She came. She came. And my youngest brother, he came with her. And she asked me what happened, but I don't know. I don't even know if I told her. I don't know. But yeah, it was just a really, really low time in my life where I just felt like I didn't want to be here anymore.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that you had some postpartum going on too.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, and that just added on, like.
Mm-hmm.
And then, did you ever communicate to your children's father that you had saw Charlamagne on TV?
Yeah, I told him. He knew that Charlamagne was the person who raped me.
And what did he say when you told him that? Like, I just saw him on TV.
He, as a matter of fact, when it happened, I ran outside, and he came behind me, ran behind me, and he said, "What's wrong?" And I told him, I said, "Remember when I told you that I was raped?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, that's the person who raped me."
Oh.
And he was like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's him." And I mean, he was upset. He was upset about it. But I don't know.
So when you did, like, you tried to call your mom and you told him that he was on TV, what did she say?
I don't remember exactly what she said. I just know that she was really dismissive about it. Like, she did not want to talk about it. She acted like she didn't have any information whatsoever about what happened when she knows what happened. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. She knows that they needed me there, you know, and because I wasn't there, you know?
So you're at your lowest. Mm-hmm. You don't want to be here. Your child's father is just a terrible partner. How did you manage to get back up?
I don't think I did. I think I just didn't have a choice but to kind of like try to have some type of normal life because I had children I had to take care of. So even though I had all these emotions and I was so broken inside, I couldn't even really deal with that. I just had to go back home after I left the hospital and just act like that never happened and act like I wasn't hurting and just go back to taking care of my kids, getting them ready for school, getting them to the bus stop, helping with homework, making breakfast, all of that stuff. I just had to just go back to what I had to do as a mom. But as far as addressing my issues, I didn't do that until, I don't know, maybe just a few years ago.
Okay.
Like really, really addressing my issues.
Was this before or after you decided to make the rape public about Charlamagne?
This was after.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Because I ended up leaving my kid's father in 2017. And then I moved to North Carolina.
Okay.
And I knew that I had a lot of healing that I had to do. But I don't think I really got like down to like the heavy stuff until maybe a few years ago.
Okay. So the first step was definitely leaving that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
going down to moving down to North Carolina, starting over.
Yep.
And so, how long after do you think you got to North Carolina and you decided to come forward about the allegations?
I want to say maybe 6 months, if even that, maybe 4. Because I remember when I left Virginia Beach, I didn't have anything. I didn't have any money. I didn't have nothing.
Okay.
I took the kids and I left and I went to go stay with my mom. And I had to work. I worked and worked and worked. I was working at the post office and I was doing like 10, 12-hour days, just trying to stack enough money to provide for my kids, you know. And while I was in the process of doing that, I remember going on YouTube one night, and I don't know what I was looking up, but I stumbled across that interview, that academics interview with Charlamange.
Right.
And I listened to it, and I was like, what? I was like, are you kidding me? Because you've seen the interview and the way he portrayed me in that interview.
Yeah.
As just some random girl who was wilding out at a party, getting drunk and just having sex and doing drugs. And that's not the case. And so I think I showed it to my mom. And my mom ended up reaching out to my brothers about it. And my brothers, my mom, and my uncle actually started doing research on it, like looking up paperwork and documents, you know, court documents and stuff. And my brother, Jamel, is actually the one that encouraged me to come out. He's the one who told me I should go on a Star show.
Why did he choose Star?
I think he's been a fan. Okay. Like, he used to listen to Star and Buckwild. Okay. And and he's just always been a fan. And then he said something about an interview with Africa, the African Bambaataa situation that Star broke.
I remember that.
Yeah, and he told me that because of that, he thought that that would be a good platform. So Jamel and I think my mom, they both actually reached out to Star together via email.
Okay.
And that's how that started. Because I was scared. I didn't.
Yeah, I could imagine.
I did not want to speak. And it took a lot for me to do that interview with Star because my family kept pushing me to do it. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. And they were like, well, you know, this is a part of your journey. Like, you have to speak. You got to, you know, set the story straight.
And so mom was actually on board.
She was on board.
What lit the candle? Like, what happened? Like, what made her change?
I think maybe she started to feel bad about the decisions that she made in the past.
So this time I'm not going to pass up this opportunity to do the right thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So Charlamagne feels that it was Kevin Hunter who was responsible for finding you, finding the paperwork, and putting it out there to ruin him.
Yeah, I don't even know who I know now, but I didn't know who Kevin Hunter was.
Okay.
I didn't know about that until after the fact. And I didn't know that Choke had an issue with Charlamagne. I didn't know none of that. I didn't know about these people's private issues with him. I just knew that I wanted to have my story heard and I wanted to speak, you know, at that point. And I was pretty much just welcoming anyone who was willing to help.
And let me say this because I don't have a vendetta against Charlamagne. We've never done business. He's never been disrespectful or anything towards me. He's always provided a very neutral perspective to the things that have always been going on with me or stories that he's reported. So me personally, I don't know him. However, his behavior has, because I am a personality, because I want to make it clear, like there's no agenda here, but to get the truth out, right? Which I know that you're not lying about this.
Right.
And I'm stating that for the record. So, and I have always used my platform to advocate for people who have been abused. That has always been. And I've always used my platform to advocate for people who have been lied on when it comes to abuse. Right? I research stories and I will disseminate them to the public as true or false. In that, we entertain, we provide comedy relief for people who just want to laugh and kick the shits, you know what I'm saying? And so there's a lot of different facets to my personality. And so there's nothing that I stand to gain for providing you a platform. And I've always been very vocal about that. And your mother can attest to that because we've talked through email about that. And I used to be like,
out to me too.
Yeah, like why, what is it about, and I know you had your reasons at the time because there was so much going on and you had been failed so many times when it comes to people saying that they were going to help you put the story out there, but only to take it and use it for their own personal gain as kind of like a wiggle, like, oh, look, Charlamagne, because they have personal issues with them because they know him. I don't know Charlamagne. I've never hung out with Charlamagne. I don't know his wife. We have never spoke.
Yeah.
He does business with a few of my friends, but there's never been a business deal on the table and he's offered me anything. I've never looked to him to do business for me or with me. I've always viewed Charlamagne as the personality that he was. I could relate to him because he was a shock jock. I respected the work up until your story came out. And then when people would take the clips to show that he has talked about drugging women before, even his own wife, who, in my opinion, this is some sick, fucking twisted shit. Looks like you. And her name is Jessica. And as a wife and a mother to 2 daughters, she has been by this man for X amount of years while he sat on a public platform and disrespected women and came and assaulted women, whether it was verbally, want to smell the chair, and bragged about drugging women on air.
On air, right.
Only for her to come out to say that, well, I've done it. He's done it to me. It made it like it was okay. And then Angela Yee, as a woman, now I've always expressed my issues with Angela Yee because I felt like it was very weak of her to be surrounded by 2 men, but as a woman, she can't use that seat to advocate for women. Not that it's her responsibility, but you're clearly sitting next to a misogynist, 2 misogynists, but one happens to be a pervert and he's proud of it. One happens to be a man who has bragged about sexually assaulting women and drugging women and putting things in their drinks, just like Bill Cosby, and she says nothing. And when the receipts were pulled and they're going after YouTubers, I watched it. They're going after YouTubers to take the clips down saying this is iHeart copyright because guess what? iHeart is now a liability. So is, I believe Revolt is somehow mixed up in the contract for the Breakfast Club. And they're cleaning this shit up. Yeah. And as a woman, she sat there and allowed Charlamagne's wife to come in to confirm the very shit you're sitting here talking about today. And it's been swept under the rug. Why? Because you're a black woman. You're not important enough. And frankly, people around him haven't held him accountable. And so now there's been a stark contrast in his demeanor now. All of a sudden, he respects women on the Breakfast Club because he lost a show on HBO. And he wants to say that it has something to do with Kevin Hunter.
No, that has something to do with the Attorney General that wrote a letter in my behalf to HBO. That's why he lost that deal.
It's called distraction, right? And so as a woman who has been assaulted herself, these stories hit very dear to me. And I'm not I don't take pleasure in accusing men of doing things that they did not do. But there's plenty of documentation since 2001 that states you were the one responsible for what happened to this woman. And the reason I'm looking at this camera is because I want people to be very clear. Like this is November. This has nothing to do. And I've been very vocal about that shit. Because now you're not the creep anymore on air. That's what made him popular. It was being a creep. It was being misogynistic. It was being an asshole. It was being an ugly asshole. And then social media does what social media does. And they go and they pull the receipts and all they do is they try to take it down and bury your story. And yes, he lost that one show, and he decides that I'm going to advocate for mental health because I've had mental health issues. And I believe his mental health stems from all of the people you violated. That shit comes back to haunt you because you're on a platform that you know one day you're going to have to answer, because I'm sure you're not the only one. You're just right now the brave one. Because he's bragged about it over and over and over again. So this ain't got nothing to do. There's no lawsuit. There's no discussion of, and you were very intentional about that when you came out, that you did not want to sue him. You wanted justice.
Right.
And unfortunately, people who have personal vendettas against Charlamagne, they want to go out and get lawyers and initiate lawsuits, and that falls through. He's bragging about getting a payday. And you're being re-victimized over and over again, and your story is just getting buried and buried while his star power goes up. Charlamagne does not deserve the platform that he has.
I agree.
Is it too late to file any charges? It may be out of the statute of limitations. However, there are still things that could be done to give you peace. You can't help that your mom didn't follow through. The detectives did. White detectives. Not because they had it out for some nigger or black man, but because that's what you did and you bragged about it. And it didn't take a rocket scientist to pull you saying the very things that she's accused you of. And all of a sudden, and they pulled this after she came out. So for me, it's seeing you get the peace of mind that you deserve and the closure that I feel that you're owed. And to correct every lie that has been told on you by him and by people that have worked for him for the last 5 years. Because you got children. How many children do you have, Jessica?
I have 4.
How many girls?
2 girls.
And 2 boys.
Mm-hmm.
And you have your daughters are I'm sure they know who he is. Do they know what happened to you?
I actually just found out that my children know, and it's not because I told them. But you know, I am very open about sexual assault and domestic violence. I have a nonprofit.
Oh,
you know, yeah.
I did not know that. Okay.
I have a nonprofit. And so I also have a podcast. So I'm always speaking about those issues. And, you know, I wrote my book, and my daughter told me the other day, because I was talking to her about this interview, and I started to tell her why I was coming here, why I'm so passionate about those things. And she told me, she said, I already know.
Wow.
I was like, well, how did you know? And she said, well, because one day you left your laptop open, and the back cover of your book was there, and I guess she read it. And then not only that, but, you know, me just constantly advocating and talking about sexual assault and domestic violence. And you just put, you know, 2 and 2 together. And so they know. I don't know if they know who violated me, but they definitely know that it happened.
No one knew that you were coming here today. And it's a shame that you couldn't even tell anybody that you were coming here, because...
Oh, no. They would have tried to stop me. I just kept it to myself. I feel like moving in silence is probably the best way for me to move from now on.
Yeah.
Because I feel like in the past, I had a lot of people in my ear.
Yeah.
And I was not moving the way that I wanted to. I was like influenced by everyone else around me. And I said, it's time for me to make my own decisions. You know, I'm grown. You know what I'm saying? But for a long time, I always felt like that little girl, you know? And so I am in the process of healing her, and probably will be healing her for the rest of my life. But I'm getting to a place where I'm more comfortable with who I am. I'm able to speak about what happened, even though I'm emotional. You know, I'm able to speak about it. I want to speak about it. You know, I want people to know that after you've been assaulted, and even, you know, being in a domestic violence situation, that you can move forward from that. You know, that doesn't have to define you. You can build good relationships. You know, you can have a healthy mindset. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm just like in a totally different place. And I do feel like I'm at peace. I really do. I don't need any money to feel like I'm at peace. I don't need, you know, jail time, even though that's not going to happen. It's just not an option. You know what I mean? But I feel like a part of me coming to terms with the fact that I may never get justice in the way that I wanted to get justice, that kind of helped me to move forward. Because I was holding on to that for a long time. I was like, you know, well, maybe there's a loophole we can find. Maybe he can serve jail time if you know, I get the right attorney or speak to the right people. But I kind of had to let that go, because I was holding on to that for so long. And I was really, really, really in a bad place, because I was still holding on to this idea of closure, when the truth is, you don't always get that.
Yeah.
And if you hold on to that, you just gonna hold yourself back. And so I had to let that go and find peace within, and with my spirituality, and with meditation and therapy and all these things I do to just keep myself in a healthy mindset.
You are so beautiful inside and out.
Thank you.
I mean, the way you just got it together, it kind of reminds me of your story when you told me, like, I was acting up middle school, and then 9th grade, I called the hospital. I was like, hey, I want to be a pediatrician. I started telling my mom. So I can definitely see that you have the power, and have always had the power, to transform your life. And I mean, we may not could control, we can't control what happens to us, but we can control how we react to it. And what we do, and how we go forward from here. And so what ended up happening with, I'm not a big fan of the Bloom firm. I've been very boisterous about that. I don't even think she's ever been in a courtroom, to be honest with you. But I know that it was brought to you that I guess they would probably be interested in taking your case. What happened with that? Because I do know there was some back and forth negotiations.
So, Choke introduced me to the team at the Bloom firm. We were kind of at a point where nothing was happening, nothing was moving. As far as the legal system, we knew, okay, he's not going to serve any jail time. And so I guess Choke was reaching out to attorneys.
Okay.
Unbeknownst to me, I had no idea. But he was reaching out to attorneys, and he ended up reaching out to the Bloom firm.
Okay.
And I guess he told them about my story and shared the paperwork with them. And they said that they wanted to take my case.
Okay. And it was going to be pro bono.
It was, yeah.
Okay. They felt that it was strong enough to get a settlement.
Yeah.
Okay.
They did. They were going to take the case. Well, they took the case. And I was really excited. But like in the beginning, I was kind of like, I don't know, because I came into this saying I don't want anything financially. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't want to go along with it. But, you know, talking to my family and just talking to Choke, and they were like, well, you know, you got to get what you can get. You know what I'm saying? So just, I shouldn't have said that.
It's fine. That's what he said.
I don't like the way that came out, though.
But that's what he said. You didn't say it. That's what he said. And so here's the thing. Choke, no joke. When I tell you is probably just as bad as Charlamagne.
Oh, I know it.
He is, when I see him sitting online on his channel, reminiscing about being with women or having threesomes.
Oh, what?
Oh my God, it's horrible. He's like, you don't understand this woman, man. She had just the, And it's sort of like how Charlamagne used to sit on air and reminisce or lust over the women that were there and smell their seeds and, you know, make, you know, inappropriate comments to them. And and he is a true enemy of Charlamagne. For whatever reason, they have had their disagreements. They know each other. And Choke used you as a pawn in order to try to get back at Charlamagne. And you had no idea. You had no clue?
No.
That
how could I? Like, I didn't even know Choke.
Yeah.
You know, initially. I know that Star said good things about him.
Yeah.
And Star is the one who introduced us so he could do the documentary. But I didn't know anything about Choke personally. I didn't know that he had a vendetta against Charlamagne. I didn't know anything. I actually learned that after the documentary.
Okay. And how did you come to learn that?
By the internet.
Oh, yeah.
People, you know, talking, oh, well, he's only doing this because it is. And I was like, okay, well, I didn't even know that was an issue. I didn't know you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I ended up finding out about the Breakfast Club incident that he had with Charlamagne, and I don't know how they cut his video, or I don't know, a whole bunch of shit that I didn't want. I didn't want nothing to do with that. You know, that had nothing to do with me. You know, but I ended up finding out after the fact, and by that time it was too late because we were already affiliated. He had already done the documentary.
Yeah. What do you want to say to Charlamagne, Leonard McKelvey? Like, that you're going back to Monk's Corner in that villa, and you're at the hospital, and then you got to go home and deal with this.
Yeah.
What do you want to say to him? What does 15-year-old Jessica want to say to Leonard McKelvey?
Oh my
23-year-old Leonard McKelvey, who was 7 years your senior. Look in that camera right there.
I don't even know where to begin.
Let me get this out of the way.
There is so much, still so much hurt. After all of the work I've done, all the years that I've put into healing myself, there is still so much hurt there surrounding this whole situation. You knew exactly what you were doing since the first day I met you. You already had it set in your mind what you wanted to do, the way you were looking at me inside that radio station, just lustful and just predatory. You already had it inside of your mind what you were going to do, and you established a relationship with me. You gained my trust. You called me your little sister. You built a relationship with me so that I could trust in you and let my guard down. And that's exactly what I did. I was 15. At 15, you're not thinking someone's out to hurt you. You're thinking, okay, this is someone genuine. They want to be my friend. But that wasn't the case. And you invited me to your birthday party, knowing what your intentions were. You invited me there to violate me and to take advantage of me. And to have your friends violate me and take advantage of me. I was 15 years old. I was a little fucking girl. I was a child. That is so disgusting. To have those thoughts about a kid. You were a grown fucking man. You have no idea how my life has changed after that incident. Relationships with my family have fallen apart. Romantic relationships. It's so difficult for me to get into a relationship now. I'm still having to work on trust. Intimacy issues that I struggled with over the years, having to go to a physical therapist because of you violating me. And then you get on your radio show, you get on TV, and you lie, and you act like you're someone you're not. When you know exactly what happened that night. You know that I was not some wild girl getting drunk and getting high and hanging out with your friends. And that was not the case. You know exactly what happened. You don't want the world to see the real you. You are a snake. You are a fraud. You are disgusting. You are a pedophile. You are a predator. And you try to clean up your act as soon as I come out with my story and flip the script like you're this revised man, and now all of a sudden, shit. Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Here.
Oh, God. My head felt like it's about to fucking explode.
I know. Here we go. I know that you have a very, very bad headache from all the crying.
All right. I don't know where to pick up from.
Just say what's on your heart.
Okay. I've suffered from anxiety, social anxiety. I have a really hard time building relationships with people and actually keeping them. I still have flashbacks. I'm speaking up because I have to take my power back. And I can't let you or anyone out here control the narrative and tell my story for me. I'm tired of people speaking on my life as if they went through it. I'm tired of people spreading lies and misinformation about what it is that I went through. You don't know how difficult it is to just wake up every day knowing that the person that violated you might be on a radio station when you turn it on, or might be on TV when you're flipping through the channels. Living their life happy, carefree. While you sit at home and you struggle every day. Sometimes you struggle to get out of bed. And you search for some sense of peace and some sense of happiness. But then you feel stuck and you feel like you can't move forward. You have no idea how it feels to not trust people to the point where you're always looking behind you when you're walking down the street. Or to the point where you don't want to be alone with people because of what they may do to you. I have struggled year after year after year, just trying to put myself back together. I have been so fucking broken. Trying to just get my life to a point where I am finally just happy and at peace. Not allowing you and what you did to control me anymore. Because I deserve to be happy. The truth is out there, no matter how hard you try to dismiss it, no matter how you try to clean it up, the truth is out there. And I am here and I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to keep on speaking. I'm going to keep on telling my story. I'm going to keep encouraging other survivors to tell their story. I'm taking back my power. I'm taking back everything that you took from me that night. I refuse to let You and that situation control my life. I'm so fucking tired of just being unhappy. I'm so tired of just being so anxious, and I'm just so tired of the anxiety attacks and the panic attacks and everything that came with what happened that night. I'm so tired of it. This is my opportunity to speak my truth. And I'm so grateful to have it.
I gotta love on you. You did that shit. You did that. You did that. Your babies are gonna be so proud.
Thank you. Oh, God.
You did that.
That took a lot.
I know, all this tissue.
God.
Like, you've been crying, and it's been over three hours.
Has it?
Yes.
Just 3 hours?
Probably 3.5.
I felt like we would sit here forever,
I know,
girl.
I know your head is like, because you
Head
like,
about to
Tasha,
bust.
my head is banging.
Oh, my God.
I don't think...
Did we get everything we needed?
We did everything. I did want to just end on this. Charlamagne has never came after you legally.
No.
Yeah. I mean, he's came after the YouTubers for putting the story out.
Yeah.
Like, he knows I'm the one that, you know, I like a challenge. And so your story will not be cut. Your story will not be rearranged. We will keep all the original footage, okay? And I 1000% will stand behind you. And he hasn't came after you legally since 2017 because he has lost a TV show with HBO. And you would think somebody would want, you know, get back for that. But he cannot challenge you.
Yeah.
Because this is all public record. And he damn sure can't challenge me. And so this video is going to be up, unedited. And this is your story, not mine. This is your story. And I am honored to lend you my platform. I'm honored for you to be here. And I am so honored that you trusted me. And to your mother, I want to say this. Although I was asking questions, because as a mother, I'm like, how? I have a 15-year-old daughter right now. She is 15. Yeah. And even though I don't shelter her, I'm very overprotective of her. And she knows I do not, you couldn't even sit on a man's lap or look at a man in the face. Like, these are the things that we were taught coming up. Although I was violated when I was 5 by my uncle. But there were just certain rules that we knew as children not to engage in, you know? And if I hurt her and it hurt you in any type of way by asking those questions, I wholeheartedly apologize. And it was never my intent to piss off your mother or make her feel less than what she is. And to hear her story, I don't think I could have been emotionally available for you either, Jessica.
Yeah.
And so
and I see that now.
And Miss Reid, I apologize for judging you, for not just having empathy. Yeah. And I really hope that now you see what my intentions were from the beginning. And I'm so glad that Star, you know, he was like, you got to talk to Tasha. If you're going to talk to anybody, you got to talk to Tasha. And I'm glad that he, you know, despite, you know, everything that we go through publicly to keep the integrity behind our show, that he knew that I was the one. And I always knew that it was going to come a time. I just didn't know when. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I went searching for everybody that was in Monk's Corner, South Carolina on Facebook. I was like, oh, Monk, do you know Charlamange Tha God? You can talk about him. I'm a reporter. You know, I want to research that night. And I'm just honored, and I believe that this was God's timing.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
You know?
Yeah.
And I really feel that this is going to be, this was the right time. Yeah. And so, that being said, I want you to look at that camera, and I don't want you to say, "Now I gotta go," because you ain't going nowhere. You're not going nowhere. You just got here. You just got here. Just say, "I'm here now."
Right. I don't want to leave.
I know. You gonna get some rest because you are exhausted. Yeah. Yes. How you liking the beaches out here?
I love it.
I know.
It's so amazing.
Cheers to you taking your power back.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Yes, God.
And we'll be back. Jessica Reid, ladies and gentlemen and winos from the wine cellar. I love it. We out. Wow. Wow, we sat down at like 5 o'clock. It's 8 o'clock.
Oh.
Yeah, it's 8 o'clock. I know.
Oh my God.
Damn.
So we got it done in one day.
Yes.
That's good.
Because I had seen your documentary, and I was just like, I wonder if she gonna need a couple days to do it, because it was a lot. I think we locked him out. I hope so. Oh my gosh, I hope so. Is it still going?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Are y'all done?
Yes. Yep. We gotta get you a goodie powder, because you know that work fast.
Okay, let's do it.
Yes, so we'll go on over to Publix while he transfers this footage.